Tom and Dan to tell you about our buddies at Precision Garage Door. We both use them. They're awesome. You got to get that Tom and Dan silent package.
Yep, it's basically a Wi-Fi motor. They come and put little plastic sleeves on all the rollers on your door, so it's completely silent, so it's not this big rattling door anymore.
They balance it. Yeah. They do all the services for all of your garage door needs.
Yep, call this number, 407-710-BDMS. That's 407-710-BDMS, and that's how they know that it came from us. And if you need a whole new garage door, like a complete new one, you can get 5% off. Just tell them Tom and Dan.
And they cover all of Central Florida, including Gainesville, Point Siena. I mean, they're getting bigger as they go.
It's Precision Garage Door of Central Florida. Give them a call.
It's open enrollment for insurance again. Time to go online and lie about exercising and not smoking. It's a corporate time with Tom and Dan.
Welcome back to a corporate time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. You ready to do this thing?
Let's do it.
Oh, Canada, home of George St. Pierre. Tom's Pop called it Gay Mexico.
Seemed like we couldn't say that last year, but now it's fine, I think.
I honestly don't know if we're allowed to. Should I start adjusting?
I don't know.
That one. Does Josh even know? Josh, do you know?
Do I know what?
Okay, hold on. Let me wait till this fades out here. Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
All right, Josh. What do we got first?
Well, apparently the Canadian Josh segment is brought to you by Mo. I like that. I'm totally down for that.
No, yeah.
I thought by hitting that it would stop his music, but apparently I've got some work to do this afternoon.
Well, we could say justcallmo.com is brought to you by, but we're going to get all the money from that.
Yeah, I'm going to get nothing from it. I know. There will never be an instance where I'll even be able to use Mo because I'm in a different country and we don't sue people here typically. So,
but if you did,
what happens?
He would sue the gravy right off your French fries.
So what happens in Canada if you you just get hit by a car?
You're just like, that's unfortunate, eh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, eh? Yeah, they're very limited into the lawsuits statute of how much you can sue. So I think, you guys can go millions, tens of millions. Car accident here, it's like 20,000, 30,000 is the most you'll ever get as per law. So that's why it's not as crazy with the lawsuits here.
We put billboards up like you won the lottery. You're standing next to a giant check with your disabled partner.
No, the new one is. Now the new ones I've been
But you look
seeing.
fine. I look at him, I'm like, you got $900,000? What's wrong with you? You look totally fine.
The new one I've
Have
seen
at least a black eye.
is not the person anymore. I think that ship has sailed. Now it's the attorney. There's one on Colonial that's the attorney now. He's a bald attorney. And then out of his mouth, he's saying, like, $1 billion. Like, I do this. Now he's just like, screw it. They're just yelling money.
The guy I got $1 billion for, he is, you can't even talk.
I still think you and I should get a billboard where we're just like, money. We're just screaming money.
We tried.
Yeah, they said no, because that would mess with our money because you'd be mocking our biggest client.
Yeah, that's literally told us that. Like, we will not run a billboard with you making fun of the guy who pays us $30,000 a month.
And then we say, good day, whores. Good day.
Anyway, Josh, what do we got first?
Well, it's good to be here, guys. It's been a while. I think I was like the first part of April is when so I feel like I was off the show there for a bit. I know you guys talked about it, but hey, I'm still here and we're still doing this thing. Now, I noticed Sam isn't there. I had sent a clip to Sam. I just sent it to you again, Dan.
Okay, cool.
What I wanted to do is we're going to take what I want to start doing is a little bit where we're like touring the country and just kind of delving a little bit deeper into particular regions of Canada. So what I wanted to do today is start with the island/province of Newfoundland. You guys are familiar with Newfoundland?
You guys have islands there? I didn't even know you had islands.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Not nice islands, not like the beach and the sand like you guys have. Actually, Newfoundland is referred to as the Rock because it's literally a rock of granite in the North Atlantic Ocean. And so it has.
Sorry, I got it. I'm sorry.
Okay, he's got it. And so one thing that's very distinct about Newfoundland, and that's what we're going to get into here, is the accent. Some people call it its own dialect. It's kind of like its own language. So it comes from early English settlers mixed with a little bit of Irish and a little bit of French. And when they came there with their different dialects and sayings and ways of speaking English, it stayed, because as people went to other parts of the country, the population gets watered down with people from all over, and people kind of adapt. They almost find like a level playing ground as to how they're going to speak English. But Newfoundland, because of its isolation, they never really changed their accent. So it's a lot of heavy Southwest England. There's a lot of Ireland in there. I mean, you guys ever heard the Newfie accent? Like, she's crazy, by we just talks like this, eh?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. What is it, kind of like Fargo, like the North Dakota, that
more
kind of thing?
like no, it's well, they throw the A's in there, but it's more like Irish English. Now I sent Dan a clip here. Now this is a spoof where they're kind of playing up the accent, but it kind of gives you an idea of just a typical Newfoundland conversation and how crazy their accent is.
Here we go.
Newfoundland's Team Guju are the Canadian curling champions after winning the Brier on home ice on Sunday. But from listening to them on the ice, you'd never know they were from the Rock.
I think it's 6 feet slower than it's been all week in this path.
Yeah, that much, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened to the good old-fashioned Newfoundland accent? We here at 22 Minutes think Team Newfoundland would be much more entertaining if they maintained the stereotypical cadence and humor one might expect from a team from Newfoundland. Take a look.
Alberta throwing and nice throw. Now
here they go now.
Coming in to deliberate their next play.
They're side of her now, boss.
Oh, it could be worse, though. At least your pecker's not caught in a rabbit's snare up Jackson's line.
Right you are, sir.
What are you looking at here now, me old cock?
I say we shave the kid off that one there. Jam that one in there as tight as the jeans on the preacher's wife. That should do her.
Or if we smacks the face off he, driving him up Aunt Maisie's lane, we can freeze.
Aunt Maisie's lane, I like that.
Is it like they're gypsies? Well, I know you're not supposed to say that, but Samantha's not here, so we could say it.
I feel like you gave us a highly racist Canadian like SCTV sketch that I just played on our show.
So they have like that kind of like Brad Pitt in Snatch,
Pikey.
like the Pikey accent.
I don't know if we can say Pikey.
We can say it. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Who's offended by that?
I don't know. Like, I don't even know what it means.
So that's it. That's kind of it, right?
So yeah, a typical conversation go like one of the words, and I know if you flagged it there, Dan. You don't have to cut anything out. There wasn't any curse words there, but like a typical Newfoundland greeting, like you guys would say, "How are you, my friend?" or "How's it going, buddy?" They would say, "How's she gotten me cocky?"
How's she me gotten me cocky? I could do that. I could change to that. How's she me gotten me cocky?
How's she cutting me cocky? And that's a Newfoundland term.
How's she cutting me cocky?
So,
how's she cutting me cocky?
Is it just
Ich bin ein Berliner?
And that's just how people speak because it's cut off and they like.
It's like my relatives when they say like "I declare" and "Lord of mercy," and I talk about that.
Or if you're like a extreme redneck, and we joke around about like that accent, right?
Yeah.
Like you just learn that from your parents.
Yeah,
and
it's a Jeff Foxworthy, Canadian Jeff Foxworthy.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, just because of the isolation there, they've held on to this crazy dialect and this crazy accent. Especially the people who live in parts of Newfoundland called outports, or they're called bay people. Those people they can't get to town by road. It's only accessible by boat. And those people there, the more you get into those rural areas where the people literally live in isolation on the North Atlantic Ocean, they're called bay people or outporters. And theirs is really crazy.
Bay people, not big people.
Bay. B-A-Y.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you said
from
big people. I was like, we have big people all over the place around here.
Josh, where's the French part of Canada?
The Frenchest part of Canada is Quebec.
I think that, okay, we've talked about this, but I don't know if you can consider yourself part Canadian, but
I think you can be.
Yeah.
My grandma, like my dad's mom, was Canadian, and she was French Canadian. She spoke
probably
French.
have relatives there, dude.
We called her Mamay, which is grandma in French, I think, or something. But she was from.
Mamay. That's a beautiful name.
Some part, maybe Quebec. I'm not even exactly sure, but so does that make me part Canadian, Josh?
Yeah, dude, it's in your bloodline. Mamay, that is definitely a French term for grandmother. Meme. So yeah, Tom. So you said it's
let's go on a quest to find your family. Tom and Dan, Great Canadian Adventure. Tom and Dan take on the Great White North. We go see.
Find my distant relatives.
We go to Canadian Josh and we try to track down at least one. We just got to find one Meme.
Well, Mame's dead.
But she's got other family around there.
Yeah. I bet who knows how.
What if you came from Great Canadian Sailing people?
So I don't know.
I don't know if there's Canadian sailors. I'm imagining something.
She had some crazy family tree that she passed on to me. We have at the house that shows like her descendants from like the mid 1800s, or like it goes back crazy.
Yeah. You probably got a whole bunch of people over there.
I'm like,
and you fit that stereotype. Overly nice. You don't want confrontation. You're kind of Canadian.
But I'm just like, I don't care. Who cares about finding who's related to me? Like, I don't know if anybody else, if that makes me crazy. I'm just like, what is that?
I thought he was starting to have fun last week. And
like if someone hit me up on the internet and then like, hey, I found out that I'm your long, like 18th cousin. I'm just like, all right, who cares? Like,
that's terrible.
That's not terrible. It's like, what is, you're a stranger to me. You're exactly the same as a stranger.
I don't have to be a stranger to you. I'm having deja vu right now. I feel like we did this one time.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done this before where I'm like, why would you be so rude to these people that all they want to do is bring you into their family?
Well, it's like if someone said like, oh, guess what? Your dad wasn't your real dad. Your real dad is this guy here, and here's bringing Frank.
God, my whole world is a lie.
I would be like, I don't care. Like, he's not my like, I don't even know this person.
He's my real dad. That means my other dad lied to me and he's dead now.
Well, but the
I got a lot of figuring out to do.
Who cares if you're my biologically real dad or you're a stranger? It doesn't matter. You're biologically related to me?
You don't want to know what kind of things he's had to deal with now? You might have some horrible craziness right on the cusp. You need to study this man.
Like genes-wise, like, I don't care about that. This is a stranger to me.
Tom, I did that. I did the 23andMe, and it was the same thing. I got excited about it, and I got the Q-tip thing, and do you spit or do you? No, you spit.
You spit in
the tube, and and I did the thing, and I spit in the tube, and I sent it away, and then it came back, and I was kind of excited. I guess just because I'm so white, I was kind of maybe hoping there might be something a little bit different in there, like maybe a little Italian. But anyway, it came back, and it was like 98.6%. British, Irish, Scottish, sprinkling of German, sprinkling of France. And then because I'd signed up to the thing, I keep getting the requests and the notice, you have 4 new relative matches. Then I had people reaching out to me, and I was saying with you, Tom, I got it. It's like, I'm white and European descent. And all these people get back to me and they're like,
Josh,
we have a relative. I'm like, I don't care either.
Josh, you could have spit in my hand. I could have told you were white. You were 100% white.
You're the whitest person we know. You're Canadian Josh, for Christ's sake.
You could tell if your grandpa was African American. I'd be like, I could tell. I could tell.
I think I was hoping for Italian, maybe a little Italian or something.
100%.
A lot of these bits are easy to figure out. Like, we didn't question Nigerian Bill's bit. We knew where he landed.
You're straight white honky. No, like, there's no chance of anything else.
You're wearing a baseball shirt, for Christ's sake. That's a white person thing to do. Nobody likes baseball shirts.
This is a little cheese merchandise I'm wearing there.
That's so cool. And I was just crapping on Little Cheese's shirt.
How many of those?
I love his logo. I'll buy one.
How many of those did you buy? Because you're away half the year.
I got boxes just sitting. I'm not sure
we got to sell those Little Cheese shirts. You want to put them on our website?
Absolutely. Like I said last bit, it turns out getting 13-year-olds to stay focused on a podcast consistently is
they challenging. Stopped? They already stopped. You got the logo and the T-shirts.
We'll give you 80-20 split after taxes and after we take our fees. So
we can take our cheese fees.
It turns out you're getting around 65 cents a shirt.
Little cheese, meet little fees.
What else?
Speaking of cheese, this might be a good segue here since we're talking about food. Tom, my wife, this isn't really Canadian related. This is just, we can commiserate on something we have in common. My wife has started becoming a vegetarian.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Good luck.
So, I don't know what to do here. Like, maybe you
got to divorce her.
Intervention with her. She's got to the point, like your wife, like I know Tom, she has a complete aversion to meat, and that's over years of being a vegetarian. My wife seemingly developed the aversion instantaneously. I don't know if it's just in her head, but it's like she's a vegetarian and now she finds meat disgusting after 1 month. So I'll go along with it, eat vegetables, but man, when it comes time to eat that steak. So Tom, do you ever Are you used to it now? The pseudo vegan vegetarian lifestyle?
See, the problem with meat is you got to ignore it because it is disgusting. If you actually if you logically think about the entire process. Now, there is something romantic about like going out and hunting your deer and like and then like cleaning it, and then that goes back to our roots, right? Like you're a hunter and gatherer.
You're taking a life and like, it's powerful. Then you're segmenting it up and then skinning it.
You track down some reindeer, some elk that you tracked for a month, and you bled it out over weeks of time, and you finally got it and you quartered it and you brought it back.
I do this on Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's a lot easier.
So there's that, and then there's the bolt in the head, gigantic factory, disgusting conditions of they make the documentaries. You watch them, and like, my God.
That's what started it. The documentary.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, you just gotta not look at it because you can't. If you go logic, then they're right.
If you watch documentaries, then meat is bad, and so is the villages. I just don't want to live that life. I want to eat meat, and I want to go crazy in the villages.
It's literally head in the sand scenario here, where you can't look at it because, and then they also have the logic of healthier for you. Yes. Like
plant-based,
it is healthier for you.
Now, though, you could make an argument, and any nutritionist would, that if you just go light meat, fish, red meat once a month, and then do fish, chicken, organic,
5 nights beef, 2 nights chicken.
Then that's could be even healthier than a vegetarian diet because you're getting those lean proteins, and but you could still get the protein from the veggie anyway. How to deal with it. So, is she cool with cooking you meat?
Negative.
Well, that's a problem because my wife. Because my wife will.
She'll cook for you sometimes.
She'll cook meat for me and then add it to her vegetarian dinner.
Which is really the easiest. If you can get that's the way to do it.
Now, she's not cooking some T-bone steak or
She's also not cooking a tripe or something. She's cooking a basic chicken breast.
She's willing to put a chicken breast in a pan.
Don't stare a gift horse in the mouth. You got to take what you get.
Or some hamburger. She's willing to brown some hamburger meat.
Andrea doesn't even like breaking up ground beef.
Yeah, well, she won't do it with her hands. She'll do it with a spatula and stuff like that. So that's a problem, Josh. I feel bad for your wife is now anti-meat and not even willing to cook it for you.
What about the boys?
I've been doing a lot of portobello mushrooms.
That's good. Hold on, you got
potatoes.
Get the boys to cook the meat.
How? Little cheese. He's not going to put up with that.
He's going to put his cheese down. He's going to be
he's mad.
Oh, is he? Can we interview Little Cheese? Oh, I bet he's the real interview here.
And then,
I bet he's livid.
Yeah, because you're
no more hot dogs.
So your wife's not even cooking meat for them either.
No. So the only meat consumption is when I've been home. So it's been challenged. You can make some good stuff, like vegetarian stuff, but how many portobello mushrooms and cauliflower and carrots can I grill? I feel like in a matter of 2 weeks, I've reached the end of it's barbecues. The weather's perfect here right now. This is the time of year where we can make fun of your weather.
And all the boys are miserable too. And Mama put her foot down.
Yep, there will be a chance she'll be back because sometimes it's a phase, and because she watched that documentary or something like that, she's like, I'm never. And then
conspiracy,
And then one day she'll be stressed out. The kids will be screaming, and she'll be like, I'm going to McDonald's or whatever the Canadian McDonald's is. I don't even know. You probably
Tim
have
Hortons.
It's called McDonald's.
McDonald's.
I'm going to Canadian McDonald's.
We don't call it Canadian McDonald's.
And I'm gonna get McDonald's.
And then she eats a Big Mac, and then she's like, it's so good. And then she's back at it.
Dripping down her chin.
Yeah, so most likely she'll be back.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I've gone 2 or 3 days without meat, it's okay. I can, do alternatives. But man, when it comes to that steak day or time for burger, I'm like, woohoo! It's back on.
Yeah, burger to me is the one, or hot dog. We were I'm trash, and we're a hot dog family.
Oh, yeah.
The Dennises are trash people, and we love chili dogs, and even my wife I've converted to loving hot dogs. Andrea loves hot dogs now, which really is true love. If you find a woman that loves hot dogs with you, it's true love.
Yeah. And and then I tell my wife will tell me.
We do like twice or once a month.
These, it's horrible conditions, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, a lot of things are horrible. I'm like, I'll be dead soon. You'll be dead. The sun will blow up. We'll all be dead. The earth will be dead. So I'm eating my GD hot dog. I don't give a damn.
I would be pretty pissed if I gave up hot dogs for about a week and then I found out on the news that the earth's going to blow up. I'd be pretty pissed off.
I'm just saying that in the long enough time span, none of it matters. So anyway,
what's the meat of choice for the fellas?
Steak, porterhouse.
Porterhouse. Yeah. I like it. You're raising good boys there. Yeah. Good Canadian thick-neck steak-eating boys.
I've talked to some people that eat steak a lot.
A lot.
Like I'm like, oh my god! Like,
Sam's a steak gal. Like I think Sam, if she has her druthers, if she's gonna eat, it's beef. I think my wife is a beef person. If she's gonna eat meat, it's beef.
I knew a guy that he found out his wife was pregnant, and to reward himself, he would have a steak lunch with a bottle of wine. Every
oh my god,
11:30. And he was just running with steak. I'm like, you ate steak for 45 days in a row. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I
have a relative who eats steak, at least like a grilled or a pan-seared steak. I have a relative.
So good.
I won't say his name because they've recently been telling me how much they listen. I got to back off on some of the stories or at least a little while. But he eats steak 3 to 4 times a week, like a grilled steak, like a big one. 3 to 4 times a week.
Some people got the genetics that can do that, but
he doesn't.
Most can't. Most is like you are going to die.
It's luck. It's very at this point. It's just luck. Right?
It's like your dog's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, we don't even
too
know.
Much.
My dad, heart attack, other relatives, heart attack. It's in there, right? The heart attack is in there.
Yeah, super healthy guys, too, like Joe Rogan. He was a huge proponent of the carnivore diet, and I know he was one of the guests he had on, had started the carnivore diet, and a lot of his allergies or food sensitivities. I mean, he just felt better eating meat. It would be interesting. You guys did the blood work challenge with Seth and Chungus Glorioso. It would be.
It wasn't that far off, man. It wasn't enough to really put. Yeah, it wasn't. It was bad, but not as bad as we thought for Chungus being as large as he is.
I feel like the numbers say it says it's close, but the reality, it's kind of like when the asteroid every once in a while comes close to Earth, and by the numbers you're like, this came between the moon and the Earth. So if it hit us, but actually it's still hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles.
You think it's not that bad?
No, I think it is bad. The reality,
but we didn't say
the
a lot
numbers
of things.
Are closer.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, it was an episode on our Freddie Free Show, our uncensored show. You can find it at TomandDan.com. But here's the thing that we didn't even factor in that day. It's like Seth can do things and not breathe heavy. You know what I mean? There are little things you think about the huffing and puffing. Yeah, I mean this Chungus Glorioso is an able-bodied 400-pound man. He's moving around and moving and grooving.
Yeah.
But it's not without it's going to look hard.
Yeah, and the damage is I feel like
isn't he a mechanic or a auto technician?
He's a detailer.
Yeah, boat detailer.
He's a professional detailer. He does a damn fine job.
It's hard work. And it just goes down to genetics, and that's the thing. You could eat a carnivore diet, but even at the carnivore diet, they're not eating red meat 3 times a day. You have to mix in the lean protein and probably it's just.
And you're eating
Did they eat any vegetables at all though?
Oh yeah, you're eating veggies and you're eating salmon and fish.
You're being a body chemist at some point. You could eat you can go 100% McDonald's and still be not obese. Because it's all about calorie intake and nutrition.
McDonald's.
No, they did that though. It's all science, right? It's the calories you take in, the nutrition you take in, mixed with your own body's genetics. You could probably figure out a way to eat anything as long as you're getting some sort of calorie and nutrition, ratio. Anyway.
Yeah, if we get time real quick, guys, just was going to touch on the hockey thing real quick. You guys been watching the playoffs at all? Battle of Florida is well underway. The Panthers and the Lightning.
Yeah, I have been dabbling in the hockey. It's really exciting, man. We've been having a good time with it.
It is very exciting to see, and for us, it's really kind of depressing because we don't want to get into the COVID talk too much, but we're back on full lockdown here, guys. We are shut down again. Schools closed, work closed, everything shut down.
Are you kidding?
Are you crazy? I just went to
shut down.
I just went to Blizzard Blizzard Beach. I literally went down a water slide, no mask. We're open, baby.
Yeah.
I'm drinking White Claws in the pool.
I go to Publix now, no mask.
Oh, my God.
And
I moonwalk through the aisles.
yeah, we are 100% open. More open.
We're more open. They're removing the roof on our Publix so we can run it topless now. It's just like we're taking the roof off.
We're more open than before.
And we're more closed than before because of this third wave. So just to tie it back into the hockey thing, it's really strange because you look at the games going on in the North Division, and the North Division is just the Canadian teams right now in the first round of the playoffs. Nobody in the crowd. Meanwhile, we'll look at a game in Florida or in Vegas, and it's packed. And so Canadians are really scratching their heads right now saying, okay, what the hell? One of us is doing it wrong because we're closed, you guys are open. And then it's going to tie into how does this work when we get to the next round of the playoffs where we have the borders are closed and the border restrictions and self-isolation and all that. I haven't found anything that the NHL's announced yet what they're going to do with the Canadian teams, because once they've cleared the North Division, then it's time to start meeting the teams from the States. So I don't know if the Canadian teams are going to have to go and move to the States, and then the rest of the
bring them here. We're open, baby. I'll put up some of the players in my townhome. Let's do it.
They can come to Florida.
Yep.
They, do whatever they want.
Come on over here, you bearded Canadian Adonises. Come on over. I'll show you the beach. I'll take you to Joyland Arcade at Daytona Beach.
Oh, yeah. You want to go to a rock concert?
Yeah. What do you want to do?
Full packed rock concert. Super Dave's on stage.
Yeah, Super Dave's on stage. Non-point. You're body surfing. We're wide open.
Yeah.
Birthdays.
Well, just today, the Florida the Panthers and the BBT Center announced that they're increasing the capacity. They're upping it even more.
Oh, yeah.
120%.
Yeah, pack it full. If you're
vaxxed, going to 75.
They're getting rules now that if you're vaccinated, you can sit on somebody's shoulders in a concert. I heard that.
Yeah, a long trench coat.
Don't quote me on that.
If you go in someone else's pants, like together, you're free. Buy one, get one.
It's buy one, get one for all Kid Rock shows.
All right, Josh, we got to go. Plug your son's Twitch feed.
All right, guys, you can check out my son's Twitch channel. twitch.tv/LittleCheese437. Check out The Little Cheese Show everywhere you find podcasts. If you need any voiceover work done, go to jcvoiceover.com. Brought to you by Mo.
Yeah, there you go. Put a Mo on it. Hey, man, we love you. I'm sorry you're on lockdown, but if you can ever get away,
someday,
come see us. I want to hug your face, okay?
Okay. All righty, Beavers.
All right, buddy.
See ya,
Beavers.
Josh.
See ya, Josh. That's a great segment, man. Why not? It's fun.
It means
you don't like fun.
A girl's genitalia.
Yeah, it does not. That's minge. Mongolian for beaver.
Bye-bye. Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. No Samantha. She is currently touring Georgia's owned Babyland General Hospital, home of the Xavier Roberts Cabbage Patch Kid dolls. On my suggestion, she visited. If you got a 50,
Are you joking?
No, she's really there. If you got a 50 milligram True Leaf pill and an hour to spare.
Hold on. Why? So Samantha does some old Meemaw vacations.
Yeah, it's fun. She does like some weird Meemaw stuff.
She drives to Georgia
to visit Babyland General, where the home of the Cabbage Patch dolls. Where they have animatronic cabbage heads that move like this. They're like, you know, like when you go to see Santa Claus and they got all at the time, I guess it was great technology, where it would be a reindeer whose tail and its neck would rotate slowly as if he was trying to work out a kink.
Yeah.
That's what they have at Babyland General. Chef's kiss.
Why? I wouldn't even drive to Sanford for that. But I'm just saying.
Oddly enough, they have a location in Sanford.
I'm just saying, why drive all the way to Georgia? Anyway, let's do the
thing.
It.
Okay, here's the thing. Tom wanted to do a bit. He called it Weird Job Wednesday. Dad really likes it. Tom says that's bullshit. It's another Weird Job Wednesday. What are you doing? What is your job? Are you neat? Are you tidy? Or are you a fat slob? Do you make lots of money and you sit up in your tower looking down on all the people who are working by the hour? It's a Weird Job Wednesday.
Just another Weird Job Wednesday. Oh yes, it's Weird Job Wednesday. Just another Weird Job Wednesday. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Weird Job Wednesday brought to you by Streamline Florida. Get that refi, get the mortgage. They'll handle it. Brian Zimel and his team are great.
They're great folks.
We've both refied through Streamline. It's a great experience.
Yeah,
and
super duper easy. And, just get in the BDM section and talk to those guys.
Yep, and we'll send you a gift if you do.
Absolutely.
So on the line with us right now, I'm excited about this one because I heard from our Sanford friends, from Paul Williams, and they were excited because they're like, we sponsored a bobsled team.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
and
Paul,
I'm like, what?
Paul, what have you done?
And on the line with us, Josh Williamson. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good. So, Josh, tell us about your weird job.
Well, I'm on the bobsled team. As you said, I'm from Sanford, Florida, so not exactly the bobsled capital of the world, but I've been doing it now for just over 4 years, and I'm up here in upstate New York right now at the Olympic Training Center, just getting ready for the Winter Olympics here coming in February.
Awesome.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
So, Josh, how does a guy from Sanford get into bobsledding?
So they have these combines around the nation, right? They do these like sprints and lifts and jumps, and they're essentially looking for kind of athletes who've done other sports who are still looking to compete, who are big and fast is kind of the goal here. I played lacrosse and football growing up. We have a lot of track athletes, and a big thing is most athletes are going to be coming from sports. They're pretty good, but they weren't good enough to go to the league, or they had injuries. We have guys who went to NFL camps but never made it through that and still had a desire to compete and still were good athletes. And then I did a combine. I did pretty well. And from there, the rest is history. The coaches liked me. I tried the sport, and I happen to be pretty good at it.
Are these the guys that I see on the Olympics? Because, first of all, I got to tell you that bobsled is one of the things that if it's on and we're in the middle of an Olympics, I'm watching. And I'm also getting drunk watching because it's fast and it looks super dangerous and it looks crazy. Yeah. Are you one of the big leg guys that runs from the back to try and get its speed? You're the big leg man.
Yes, I'm the big leg.
Yes, those guys, they blow their suits out. Their legs are so big. Their legs are so huge that they'll start running, and you guys will blow your D&Bs out right out the back. I've seen you blow them right out the back because you're running so fast. You're taking on, like, all I can say, you're taking on like what a deer would do running from a hunter.
Yeah. I mean, the sleds are pretty heavy. You get a 4-man sled. You can get anywhere up to 400 or 500 pounds, and you fill that with 4 big guys, and you're well over 1,000 pounds going down the track. So we get moving pretty quick. Yeah. And our job, really, we're the engine of the sled. It's always a running joke that we pay, $50,000, $100,000 for these sleds, and they don't have an engine. You still have to push them to start. But at the end of the day, we push these things as fast as we can. The start's very important. That's if you have a really good start, you put yourself in a really good position, and that's pretty much our job. We get in a very aerodynamic position, and you just hold on for dear life.
So after so as a big legman, so you're huffing and puffing, you're just getting every ounce of energy out of those muscle fibers. You blow your D&B out the back of your suit, then you jump in, and then you tuck down, and you're not steering, are you?
No. And we have pilots, and a lot of our pilots, my pilot Hunter and another pilot of ours, Cody Basque, they both have been doing this since they took their first trips, some of them at 12, very young. Wow. And they've been doing it for a long time. And then a lot of the athletes, like in my position, we're going to come in from other sports later in life. And they're just looking for a really good athlete, strong and fast. Because one, you got to be strong. The sled's really heavy, Another thing, too, you just got to be fast. You're running downhill. Initially, we start sprinting, and then you're pushing a 500-pound sled downhill. It gets going pretty quick. And if you can't keep up, you're gonna get left. So that's the big part of it. Is we get in, and then once we're in there, it's about holding we're trying to get as low as we can, but it's also about an aerodynamic profile. So you don't want to be too low. You want like a nice taper. And we just did work in the wind tunnel. We do a lot of work in there. And other than that, you memorize the track. You don't want to be kind of dead weight. If you feel a right turn, you need to memorize the turns in the track to make sure that you're not just skidding.
I was going to ask if you had to learn to lean to complement your pilot, because you don't want to just be sitting in there as low as possible. I mean, there obviously is a level of, for lack of a better term, as a unit, you guys want to be very fluid. So when you're going around those corners and everything, you're just ripping, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to be as continuous as we can. And obviously, it gets really hard. You get up to 60, 70 miles an hour on some track, and next thing you know, you hit a wall because the pilot, you have a rough steer, and it's hard to stay relaxed when you're smacking a wall going 70 in a speed suit. But when you do that, the whole goal is memorize the track, know where you're at. One, because my job technically is called the brakeman, because you pull the brakes at the end of the track. You get to the bottom, you got to know where you're at. You don't want to get up too early, but you also don't want to get up too late because you got to stop the sled. And then other than that, for speed, you got to know where you're at in the track just to be, like you said, just to keep it all moving correctly. We can break into a skid if one of us slaps the right side of the sled and the whole sled's trying to go left. You lose your back end, and then you're just scrubbing speed, going into a different turn. Yeah,
that's just eating your whole thing. Oh, man, that's crazy.
So, Josh, this is fascinating to me, and I got so many questions. So, first... So basically, there's a pilot, and then they look for 3 athletes to push the sled at the beginning, and then obviously you said there's work involved as far as memorizing the track, but essentially you're there for the ride. But those 3 athletes, do they stagger them in any sort of you're all the way in the back, correct?
And so in 4-man, I am right behind the pilot.
Okay.
In 2-man, I'm all the way in the back. So I do both disciplines, but in 4-man, I'm just behind the pilot.
So in the 4-man, is there any difference between you and the 2 guys behind you as far as the last guy is the biggest or something, or they're just looking for 3 about basic, athletes? And tell me about the size and weight, because I'm sure there's weight restrictions and you got to be a certain size, right?
Yes, yeah. The big thing for us, weight-wise, we're all trying to be as heavy as you can get without slowing down is a big thing. Because obviously I could put on a lot of weight, but then I'm going to not be as fast as I normally will. So there's kind of that range for everyone is, what works for you. And from my position on the 2 spot, generally what you see in 4-man, for example, the guy in the back is going to sometimes be smaller and a lot faster. Because if you think about it, he's the last to get in the sled. We load in an order. I guess that makes sense. The pilot gets in, and then I will follow him. I'm second in. The 3 guy from the right, he comes in behind me, and then we're waiting for the last guy, the brakeman, to come in, and then we all try to sit at once to get just to keep, like you said, that continuous momentum. We don't want a lot of different jolting around. We all are trying to be very smooth once we get into the sled. And so that guy in the back needs to generally be smaller and quicker because he's the last on the ice. So when we're all getting in, that sled's still picking up speed, and he's still out there.
He better
pushing.
run. Yeah, that guy better
so
go.
He's got to generally be the quickest.
Yeah, and then to think about it, in this, and they talk a lot about this in cycling and with the motion of your pedals and the fluidity of them, because if you have a choppy stroke, there's so much energy you're losing. When you say that as that brakeman's coming in, all 3 of you got to decide to sit at the same time to keep that fluidity, that moment. Yeah, that all totally makes sense to me, man, because that could be the difference in winning and losing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we come down to 100th of a second at the bottom is crazy. And in 2018 Olympics, we had a 2-way tie for gold between Canada and Germany to the 100th of a second over 4 heats combined time.
Jeez, that's crazy.
It's like a mile of ice, 4 heats. That's almost 4 miles of racing, and they came down to the exact 100th of a second. And sometimes you win or lose by 100th of a second,
right?
And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it could be almost anything.
Hey, Jerry,
the thing with me loading.
You sat down terrible, Jerry. You're off the
you stutter. We talked about you stutter getting in because we have to. When you're getting in, you're pushing from the side. There's a bunk, and then I'm coming off my opposite foot. So if I'm on the left side, I'm loading with my left foot. I land on that bunk, and then I got to pull myself in. All of the sled is, going pretty quick, and you're moving, and you're on ice, and it can get pretty technical. And if you stutter, if you jolt the sled the wrong way, if you anything can happen. If you're in the track and I move around a little bit because I'm in a bad position and something hurts really bad, and I'm trying to get away from it, that could break us into a skid. There could be a thousand things that happen, and that's the difference between sometimes getting a medal or not,
And I'm envisioning, just like everybody listening to this, remembering what the intro of because most of us watch bobsledding every Olympics 4 years, so it's like
we don't get a lot of it.
You're going, and then no bobsledding from Cool Runnings, right? It's like I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yeah,
but do you run on the ice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. I have ice spikes. So think of like a track spike, a sprinting spike, for example.
Yeah.
And we have that, but with 300-400 small little nails, and Adidas is the only company that makes them, and we have to get those every couple of years to redo them, and you keep those sharp, and that allows us to run on the ice without slipping, ideally.
Are they?
And that's sometimes you still do.
Can
sometimes
I pick up a pair
conditions.
of those just for stomping?
They're crazy expensive.
Yeah. They are pretty expensive, and a lot of that is Adidas has a choke on the market there. They're the only ones who make it, so there's like $300-400.
Yeah, they don't want kids buying them and kicking each other at school.
No,
that'd be bad.
Josh, I want to talk about the dangers because
it seems extremely dangerous. Because I know hockey's dangerous, and this is like taking a hockey skate and then just expanding it to a 500-pound hockey skate, and then filling it with big men.
And you've seen crashes in the past, and then of course, like we all remember that one. I think it's called Skeleton, which is
what a great name,
which is a crazy name because it's like it's like we saw that crash and how crazy it's like, oh my god, like this is insanely dangerous. But is bobsled less dangerous because you're in a capsule and then somewhat protected, or like what's the most dangerous situation?
I would say skeleton definitely is inherently more dangerous. They're not going to get as fast as we are because they don't have as much weight. So that's kind of where our risk comes from. If we're in the 4-man sled, you got 1,000 pounds. And on the fastest track in the world, we're in Whistler, Canada. That's going to be, you go up to almost 90, 95 miles an hour. So if you do crash, the big things we have for protective equipment are motorcycle helmets. We have a burn vest, just like a road burn. If you go over on ice and we have a sled pushing us into the ice because you're upside down, you're getting these pressures and these turns, and you can, get skin grafts, and it's just ways that. So we have burn protected and get vests on under our equipment, but that's kind of the inherent danger that if you crash, a lot of concussions, a lot of head injuries. Like with motorcycle helmets, they're protective, but they're not much is going to protect you if you're rolling out at 70, 60 miles an hour and smacking your head on a cement wall. Like it just happens, and that's ideally it doesn't happen, but some crashes can be really bad. Some crashes are you just tip over and it's very gentle and you get out at the bottom. So it's just that's a part of the sport, but ideally you don't see it a lot as you get better.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like when you first get into the sport, like in my position, you first come in and you're sliding with the new pilots, because the new brakemen are going to go with the new pilots because you're new, they're new, they just need bodies in the back. And that's when you're going to get a lot of your crashing out of the way because they're learning, and you're just kind of the body bag in the back. Just like, we dumped. All right, we're going to come back.
Do you get tired of the ice? Do you get tired of the cold? Does it? Because like any other conventional sport you talk about, most people talk about the sweat and the heat and, having to take designated water breaks and stuff like that. You guys are the exact opposite of that, and you're having to train in those conditions. You get tired of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to, I guess. It's been pretty novel to me for a while because coming in from Florida,
sure,
anything cold, it's kind of cool. I'm like, oh wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah,
seeing a bunch of snowfall. It's sweet, but then after a couple of years, I'm like, all right, I'm tired of it. Because some tracks,
I was wondering if Sanford would shine through a little bit there because I'm from DeLand and I know that after a while, Colorado's terrific, but after a while, I'm just not naturally built for it.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I mean. Some race days you're getting up, down to -10, -20 degrees, and you're in a speed suit, and that's not very warm. It's just it's as aerodynamic. We try to keep your jackets on as long as you can at the line to keep you warm. You're about to sprint, and the last thing you want to do is be freezing cold, sprint and pull a muscle. So we have all these jackets on. Right on the line, you pull them all off. You push for 5 seconds. You go down. You get to the bottom. Your hands are cold. You can't feel your hands. You get in your jacket again, and then you warm up and you do it for a second heat. Hopefully you win the race and make it worth it,
All of that 5 seconds of running, that's insanity to me, man. I love it.
I'm guessing the biggest mistake you could make is screwing up the like getting in the sled, right?
Could fall, I guess.
And so have you done that during like an actual race that counted? And
do you get disqualified for not being in the sled?
If the last guy doesn't get in,
can you just hold on and like, I'm coming?
Yeah, what are the rules there?
So if you have to have all 4 guys in the sled and they got to get to the bottom, they got to cross the finish line. So if you were to crash, for example, you're probably not going to have a fast time. But if you all stay in the sled and cross the finish line, so if you crash at the bottom of the track, you can at least get a result. Like you didn't get it disqualified. You got like 20th place or something. So that's the big goal, is stay in the sled. But easier said than done. You're getting yanked out of the sled if you're rolled over, for example. And like you said, at the top of the track, I've slipped. I've always gotten in the sled. I've never rode it into one. Sometimes we have these videos of guys who they don't make the bunk, and that's like the worst case situation. They don't get in, the sled leaves them, and they just kind of like look really sad and slide into one on their ass, and that's kind of the end of it for them. And it sucks, but we almost had in a race last year, our pilot's push bar collapsed on him while he was pushing. And I'm in right behind him. So he's laying over the front of the sled, like full sprawl. Hunter, he's on top of the sled. I'm now on the bunk because I'm supposed to get in right after him. And I see him and I'm trying to grab for him. But now that I look back at it, he ended up getting in. We pulled him in. He got in. We were good. But when I look back, I'm kind of like, if he wasn't getting in, should I just jump off? I can't steer that. I can't navigate a 4-man down the track. I could try. But I would crash us in turn 3. So I'm kind of like, if my pilot doesn't get in, that's something now I think about is if I see my pilot fall, should I just bail? Because I don't want to be in a sled with no pilot. I'm on the bunk sitting there. I'm like, I could just step off right now and just ride down on my butt and not just get messed up in the sled.
Is it fun to ride down on your butt? Even though you're a little bit sad, it's a little fun, right?
I'd have to imagine, I haven't done it, but I would have to imagine if you're not going that fast, they'll kind of slow down by turn 3 and you just grab a wall and climb out. That's usually what happens. They get into turn 2, they climb back up, they walk up the ramp really sad. Oh. Everyone pats them on the back.
Yeah. Sorry, all part of it.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. It sucks.
So, Josh, that's interesting to me that you're like, I couldn't steer it down because
sounds extremely difficult.
Like we're looking at it kind of like, all right, it's, the course is basically leading the bobsled down because of the high banks and everything.
Yeah, that's insulting to your pilot.
Well, we're not.
There's no skill involved.
Our viewer doesn't understand what the pilot is even doing. So what is he doing?
Yeah, good question.
So if you think about it, it's 2. They call them D rings, and essentially it's a pulley system. You have the axle in the front, the runners in the back.
Tom's huge into D rings. He loves them. He's wearing one right now.
B ring. Oh. I'm big into it as well.
B ring. Oh my god.
I'm big into B rings too. Sorry.
But the back runners are fixed, for example, and then the front runners you get some play. So it's like I have 2 pulleys. I pull one to go right. I pull this one to go left. And that's pretty much it. But there can be nuanced turns where all they're doing is touching their finger. Some they got to make a big steer. That's a classic in my position right behind the pilot. If I look in front of me and I see the pilot doing one of these, like these steers, I'm like, oh, something bad's about to happen. He shouldn't be pulling that hard.
Yeah.
And that's really what they're doing. And it definitely is tough. Like when you're learning to drive, these tracks, though they keep the sled in the track and they guide you, there's these pressures in the turns, and some turns are longer than others. Some turns have nuanced steers and some don't. It's really hard to be fast in a sled. And even making it down, we have new pilots. If I were to put anyone brand new in a sled and send them off the top of the track, they would crash. Like almost, I would say 8 out of 10 would crash. Like it actually gets very difficult because though you are controlling the sled, you are also completely out of control because once you're in the track, there's no stopping. Until you get to the bottom and you pull those brakes, you can't stop the sled. It's one of those ideas of once I get in, it's almost a peaceful feeling. You get in the sled and you say, all right, well, this is a little sketchy, but there's nothing I can do. I'm in it for the minute of ride. And at the end of the day, you just take solace in that and say, I'm going to hold on tight and, we're going to get down or we're not. That's a classic line, from our pilots is we had a new athlete who was really freaking out on his first day. And he was kind of like asking everyone like, hey, are we going to be okay? Like, hey, am I going to be okay? And he just was sketching everyone out. And finally our pilot, he kept asking his pilot that. It was his first run. Everyone gets a little scared on their first run. And the pilot finally comes up. He's getting sick of him. And he goes, you know what, man, you're either going to pull the brakes or we're going to crash. And then as soon as they went into turn 1, the pilot realized he kicked his steering out. And he knew it was a self-fulfilling prophecy because he's like, well, I know the answer to that question. They crashed in turn 2.
Oh my God. So you can know you're going to crash. So you can know that things are going to go horribly wrong.
When you say kick the steering out, what does that mean?
So those D-rings are hanging in the middle of the sled. So they're almost 2 strings above and below them to keep them in the middle of that nose to make sure that you can pull on them. So instead of them just being loose, they just kind of hang there. And when you get in, the pilot shoots their feet up into the nose. And you can accidentally smack that D-ring and send it somewhere else in the sled, and you can't find it. You're trying to look where you're going while reaching into the nose of a bobsled looking for a D-ring.
Oh, my God.
Next thing you know, it's gone. And that was just a funny story where he's like, hey, man, you're either going to pull the brakes or we're going to crash. And as soon as I got into turn 1, his steering was gone. So he's like, well, that was the answer to that question,
Has there ever been any, because it sounds like the way you're describing it, that these sleds, are pretty rudimentary. There's not a ton of technology on them. I'm sure that there is some, but have they ever tried to, or is there any need to change the steering in a way where those type of things can't happen, or can you not do that due to regulations of bobsledding, or how does that work?
So there's rules and regulations. There's a lot of equipment, and a lot of that is nuanced. Some countries do it differently, and there's a lot of room for play. It's kind of funny that it's a very simple machine in that there is no engine, for example, but it is extremely complex in how it's built. You can add rubber in certain areas to maybe get some suspension, and sometimes that's illegal in a certain area and not in another area. Some country will get ahead and maybe we can try this metal in this area, and they go really fast, and the rest of the world catches up, and then it becomes illegal. So there's a lot of, similar to cycling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little nuance. How do we find speed? And a big part of it is they are simple, but there is a ton of complexity when it comes to just because these sleds, though they are pretty straightforward, they're also, a $50,000 to $100,000 piece of, carbon fiber body with, a metal chassis. And it's just kind of it gets crazy.
Yeah, it reminds me of a really good sword. It's the idea is very simple. We get it. But it's also, there's a ton of technology and speed and finesse to, I understand what you're saying.
And you can even adjust the steering for pilots. Certain pilots want it a little touchier. Some pilots really want to feel, it looks like some pilots, if I'm watching them in the back, if I'm looking right at them, sometimes some pilots look like they're in a fist fight in the front of the sled. They're going down the track and they're moving. Some pilots just move their fingers. They want it tight. And it's a preference thing and how they learn to drive.
Some drummers expend a ton of energy by whipping their arms around. Some just use their wrists. Yeah, that's neat, man. Yeah. This is a really neat sport.
Do you guys talk to each other while you're going down the track at all? Is there yelling any sort of commands?
Sometimes I'll yell if I'm excited. So there's part of the track where it's usually called a chicane, and it's just a straight shot. And if I feel usually you might tap left or right, because it's really hard to keep one of those things going straight when you're moving that quick at the bottom. You're trying to kind of finesse it. And if I feel a shoot, we'll have a couple brakemen, we'll give a little holler or something to be excited. But at the end of the year, a little yell, but in testing, for example, at the end of the year, we'll test equipment. And this is when everyone's we've been sliding for 5-6 months. You're getting your ass kicked every day at the track. Everyone's done training. The season's competitively over. Now we're just taking 4 or 5 trips a day to test equipment. You sit in the sled, they walk you off the top, they change a little piece of the equipment. We test it against the last one. And so we're just sitting in, and then we'll play stupid games. We'll play telephone. The pilot will say something. We'll try to pass it all the way back, and we'll see if we got it right. But in a race, it's generally pretty serious, But there's some times where sliding can be fun, but generally,
you need to get your sons into this, dude. This is cool. Get your sons to join the Sanford bobsled team.
How does the weight does every competitor, with bobsled and team, do they make sure by adding weights or whatnot or taking away weights that everybody's the same exact weight? How does that work?
So after the first heat, they'll weigh you. There's a massive scale at the bottom that'll fit a 4-man sled on it, built into the ground at the dock, and they'll weigh you. And there is a weight limit. And with that weight limit, that includes just a sled minimum and maximum. So because ideally, the sled is as light as possible, and your bodies are as heavy as you can get them, because then you push the sled faster because it's not as heavy to get going. And then once you're in the sled, you have as much weight and momentum going down the track as possible. But that's hard to do sometimes. If you don't have a big crew of guys, then you need to add weight. We literally will just add lead plates to the sled. We have certain areas we can add weight, subtract weight, and we'll do that every day. Last day of training of the week, we weigh the sled, we see what we need to add or subtract to get as close to that maximum as we can. But ideally, you have a very light sled and a very heavy crew. It would be best case, because then you have less to push, I guess.
So, but the weight is the same for everybody, or at least the limit, so that way everybody's equal competitively?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
there's a weight limit, So
right.
Some people botch it. Oh man, we were 10 kilos under today. That's not good. We were, we weren't competitive. But the idea is everyone's trying to get as close to that as they can. But there are always theories of, this track you can run lighter and this track you run heavier. But as far as we go, we try to get as close to that weight limit as we can every time.
There's a NASCAR vibe I'm picking up here, too. I could see where Floridians and people that really enjoy NASCAR, which, your Florida belt up to the Carolinas, I could see them getting behind bobsled.
So
we have a lot of our sponsors are from NASCAR racing. A lot of carbon fiber work we do. A lot of the body work that's done. We were in North Carolina working with a guy named Hans DeBow, who owns DeBow Tech, who does tons of carbon fiber work for General Motors, and he builds the bodies of our sled. And those are it's a very racing generally understands racing, and that's kind of where we fit in,
Yeah,
well,
I love it.
I was going to ask you about that because this particular sport has a lot of engineering in it. You know what I'm saying? Where like
some nerds can dig in here if you want to.
But even down to the track and the bobsled, like aerodynamics itself, and then the actual I guess what is it? Would it be called the skis or skates or
Skids?
What's it on?
They're called runners, and the best way to think of them is instead of them, they're not sharp. They're actually, I would say, the width of your finger. If you think about it, they're rounded. And the idea is, if you have a fatter runner, that's another thing that's gauged as well. So you can have up to 7.5 millimeters is the absolute widest runner you can have. And then if you want more control, you get a skinnier, almost sharper runner. If you want less control, but probably going to go faster, you go fat on the runner and you flatten it out almost where it's a curved piece. And the idea is on different tracks, you run different runners. You can mix and match the fronts and the backs because the back is going to give you the control. The front, maybe you go a little fatter, but then you're not going to have as much bite. So on a very technical track, if you run a fat runner, maybe you go quick, but maybe you can't control it because you have no steering almost. The runner doesn't catch ice. It doesn't cut ice. But if you get a thinner runner, you're going to have more control, but you might not go as quick because then the runner, there's less surface area. So there's a lot of nuance there.
Well, I like a fat cheeseburger runner in the front. I run a fat cheeseburger runner in the front, and I like a bubbly runner in the back, but not a bulldog flat. I don't like a frog ass runner.
So, John, can you swap out between heats? Like, could you swap out runners, or is that once you chose your sled, you got to stick with it?
During the race, you have to keep the same runner. Through the training week, that's when you make your decisions. You test a runner, and it could go anything from track to the weather conditions. If it's cold, the ice is going to be very hard. And when the ice is very hard, you're not going to be able to dig into it a lot. And so you're probably going to go a lot faster. So you have our track record times usually happen on really, really cold days. But with that, you run a fat runner and you might have almost no control, and that can get sketchy. But then you're going to go fast. So certain tracks you want that, certain you don't. Depends on how comfortable the pilot is, depends on the weather conditions. And then on top of all of that, these metal runners get scratched. We have 1,000 pounds or more sometimes with the G-forces we pull going into these runners, and you're going to scratch the runner. Sometimes ice falls off and we hit cement, and that's like worst day of our life because then we have to sit there for 3 hours and hand sand these runners with 100 grit sandpaper to get the curve back because we just flattened a piece of the runner on cement when it's supposed to be on ice. So we take care of these runners because they're pretty expensive.
Oh, I bet.
And we got to really get them ready for a race day. We sand for probably 2 hours almost each runner. We'll go from 100 micron all the way down to polished paper to get these runners almost a mirror shine to make sure that they're as fast as possible going on to the race.
Nuts.
Yeah,
you can hire some kids to do that, right? Like, oh my God.
That's one of the little known things with our sport is we kind of are a pit crew. We have a mechanic, and the mechanic does the big fixes and it really takes care of the sled if there's something in the steering that's messed up. But as far as the runners go, and as far as just cleaning the sled, taking care of the little things, that falls on the athletes. We transport our sleds around Europe. We drive them in box trucks. We drive them ourselves. We pull them out, these 500-pound pieces of equipment, put them in garages under hotels. That's where we set up our garages and our weight rooms.
This is an intimate sport, man. This is like a band of brothers type of.
Yeah.
I like it. I really, really, really like this, man.
I would assume people would think at home that you guys have a crew and you just show up as athletes.
They do. Yeah, we don't know nothing. We assume everything and then we're too lazy to look it up on the internet, and it's all there.
Well, it's just tough to know that because it's all behind the scenes. You think it's skiing, you have ski techs and they'll wax it for you. But for us, it's all sand runners by hand.
Personal question: has anybody ever accidentally soiled their speed suit?
Why would you ask that?
I ask the things people want to know.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I bet this happens all the time. I bet that's why you guys pick black instead of white.
We had white one year. That was a bad move. But some turns, I mean, if you think about it, you get into a turn going fast enough. And the reason we're able to, if you were to be standing at a turn and we come through towards the bottom of the track, we could be anywhere from 5 to 6 feet up in the air glued to the wall because of the G-forces and that centripetal force almost hugging us to the wall because of how fast we're going. So the idea is with that, you're pulling sometimes momentarily, you could be up to 5 Gs of pressure, 5 times body weight of
pull
pressure.
Pull it right out of you.
And that's exactly where there's been stories of guys who, I haven't seen this, but people have seen a sled get hosed out before after a run because the guy was sick.
We got a hose out over here.
We're gonna 5G do
that. Yeah, he was sick, and they go down the track, and he's trying to be tough. It's race day. It's like I'm fine. You get down the track, and
what'd you eat for lunch, Larry? I ate a zinger milk.
Oh, that's a rough when you're sitting right. I mean, you guys are close to.
I just had some West End Sawsome wings.
You guys are literally. I mean, how close are you? You literally hugging.
That was a bad question, and the answer was the G-forces can pull the poo-poo out of you. So I think I win this.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much like I'm in a cannonball, for example. The pilot's up there in a seat, and then as far as the rest of us, we don't have seats. We sit in the open sled, and we have handles, and that's generally what you just hold on to handles.
This is nuts.
You have foot pegs, and you're just in there. I mean, the sled, if you look inside of it, it's just open. It's just a bathtub. And then so there's handles in there, and I'll sit in a cannonball. The 3 guy will have his legs just around me, and he'll be pulling into my back. So I always have this permanent mark on my back where there's a guy pulling into you as hard as you can to get locked in and tight, and make sure that you're not free. And the brakeman is almost lawn chair folded. They have like head on the bottom of the sled.
It's crazy.
And then you get 5 Gs in that, whether you're flexible or not, you're going to find some flexibility once you get 5 Gs of pressure.
You're dressed the worst. And in the worst formation for crashing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you're already twisted up inside there. So when you crash, it's just got to be a bunch of parts everywhere.
John,
right?
has there ever?
You just grit your teeth and you just wear it. Pretty much.
Has there ever been a horrible, like in the bobsled universe? Is there like some story about like, oh man, in '86, the German bobsled team hit someone, on the track,
or they exploded and they'd all poop their pants.
It was just like, has there ever been something like crazy that happened a long time ago? That's like, the legend in bobsledding.
Well, so a couple things. I mean, frankly, our sport, there's so many unpredictable things that a lot of crazy stuff happens pretty regularly. I mean, 3 years ago at a World Cup here in New York in Lake Placid, there was a crash. And generally when a crash happens, they and the saddest part was this team was leading the race. It was the second heat, their last heat of the race, and they crashed. But generally what that happens is there's a low point on the track. Most tracks go downhill for most of it, and then eventually they pick uphill, and that's when you start braking. So if you do crash, you're going to end up in low point. So as soon as there's a crash, everyone goes to the low point to help get the sled out, and the medical staff's there to take care of anyone who's hurt. But what happened was they crashed pretty high on the track, and generally that means they're going to be pretty slow at the bottom because they don't, they're not building speed because they're on their head instead of their runners. So there was track workers who got into the track, but some tracks, once you do crash, you can go into a turn and it can flip you back onto your runners. So 1 second you're on your head, the next second you're back upright. You got to steer again, and that can happen. And this track worker didn't hear the all clear, like, hey, back on the runners, sled's back on its runners. And there's a video in the middle of the race. The cameraman from NBC is screaming at him, like, get out of the track, get out of the track.
Oh, no.
He dives, misses it by a foot, barrel rolls out of the track. And not only would have gotten messed up, obviously, the whole crew would have gotten destroyed. You go over the top of that and you have guys' heads exposed. That could be really bad.
Oh my God!
Luckily, nothing bad happened, but that
just gave me
a foot away from getting hit.
I thought you were gonna describe to us someone
he turned into a red mist.
Yeah. Oh my God!
I wouldn't talk about it like that.
We don't really know you, and through the power of Zoom, it's funny. You don't know. I'm trying to read you, and I'm like, oh my God, what's he going to tell us here? But that was compelling. You did a great job. That's a compelling ass story.
I mean, and another example is we were in Latvia. School to Latvia has a track, and it's an older track, and there was wood at the top of the track, and in some turns you build a lot of height, where some pilots are like, I need to take this high pressure line and then dive out at the bottom of the turn to keep speed. And some people actually roof it, like you'll just tap the roof. And for example, this pilot from Korea, who's an Olympic silver medalist, a good pilot, he took the high line, they hit the roof pretty hard, the back runner implanted into that, got pulled out the back of the sled. So as the brakeman in 2-man, I'm in the lawn chair position. You're folded. And that runner is pretty much right under your hamstrings, almost at your glutes. And that runner the entire axle got pulled out and drug the whole bottom of the sled out. So the rest of the run, that brakeman his ass was on the ice the whole way down. And I mean, they get to the bottom, and obviously this is horrific. You know, like the whole axle is hanging out of the roof in one part of the track. The sled's gone with the athletes. Luckily, they're both okay, but obviously terrifying. And these are things that happen. You know, you have crashes, and these sleds can get mangled. You know, like there's just a lot of sketchy stuff that can go on.
Did his skin his butt cheek off? I mean, my God, I would figure just the friction would rip. I mean, even though if you have like a non-skid, I mean, they're probably only rated to a certain, amount, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have a guy on our team who his first year, he's a pilot now. I think it's Tyler Hickey, but he was a brakeman, and in one of his crashes, he had a burn vest on, and he had a nasty scar on the back. Usually you get burned in like this area of your shoulder.
Yeah.
Because you get pulled out of the sled and you're either on your head or your shoulders. Sometimes you want to take it on the shoulder. Another time you want to put your head back and give your shoulder a break if you're crashing. And he wore it all on the shoulder, and he got a pretty nasty skin graft. And
does anyone know if
we have a lot of scars in this area in our sport?
Does anyone know if this Korean man has an ass left?
It was apparently got pretty bad burn, I would assume. But more than anything, I mean, you get to the bottom and you're just, in shock.
And I've never had a frozen. I've had a good rug burn or a good road rash. I've never had an ice rash.
Yeah. So
it's similar to road burn is the best way to think of it. It's like, that's what we were, motorcycle equipment, really.
So Josh, let's talk about your run for the Olympics. What's the next step? Where are you guys at right now? How can we follow you?
How can we help?
Oh, I'm up in Lake Placid right now. We have the Olympic Training Center up here, and there's not a lot of money in our sport, obviously, because it's just not popular. You watch skiing, and people can relate to skiing because I can go ski, or you watch track, and people relate to that because you're running. There's not recretional bobsled, it's pretty hard to relate to.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, there's no one who does this recreationally, like some dads in Canada get together and on the weekends, like a softball team, they bobsled.
I don't know.
Funny enough, in St. Moritz in Switzerland, which is the birthplace of our sport, they have leagues where I actually have gone over before, and we've been in a race where there was guys who were 40 plus, there was kids who were 15, and it was just like a community race. And that's over there. That's culture. That was where the sport was created.
That sounds amazing.
And there's actually a lot of history. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty cool, but not in a lot of because some tracks are rougher than others. That track's a little forgiving. In Lake Placid, it's a pretty rough transition track, and it's going to rattle your brain a little bit, so they may not have somebody older sliding there.
It's like bring your own alpine coaster, Tom. It's like the community comes together, they have the thing, and I'm sure the town takes care of the track, and then they all kind of pitch in, and then it's like, and then they go there, they're jumping around a maypole, they're having some special drinks, they ride it.
It's really cool, man.
Cool.
It's in upstate New York, for example, before it caught traction. It's been an Olympic sport now for a long time, but it used to be where each city in this area, which, is a pretty rural area, every city would field teams. You'd have like you'd find some buddies at the bar and you'd make a sled. That city would make the sled. They would go compete here in Lake Placid at the track. And whoever won that race represented the U.S. at the Olympics and sometimes won gold medals. So sometimes it was never back. This is earlier days of it, maybe 60s, 70s. It might have not 50s. It might have not been athletes. It could have just been a family. I'm in upstate New York now, and it's really cool because you go into town, you're like, oh yeah, my dad has ridden in a bobsled before. Or like, oh, my uncle did this. My grandpa went to this Olympics. It's like, and it's not like now where we're training and we have athletes who are really kind of trying to horse the back of the sled. Back then it was just like, it was you made a sled and you represented, and it all came from this area of the country, this small area in upstate New York. And now it's expanded where we have guys on the team from Texas, Florida. You have athletes from around the world and around the country doing it. But for a while there in the U.S., the sport was a team from Keene, New York, some small town, put the team together, and next thing you know, they're the Olympic gold medalists.
Wow, crazy.
That was how the sport worked.
It seems like this sport almost has like blue collar kind of original like community roots, which is neat.
How many other guys from the United States are you competing against to make the Olympics?
So, in my position, brakeman, there's 3 positions in 4-man because there's a pilot, and then in 2-man there's 1 position. Generally, the best brakeman or a good brakeman at 2-man will still be on the 4-man team. There's usually not like a specialist anymore. That's kind of gone away. Now it's, I'll do 2 and 4-man. And that's what most brakemen would like to do if that's what, some people want to do that. And that's what I try to do. And so the goal is to be on one of those top 2 U.S. teams going into the Olympic year, going into pretty much just January is when this team's going to be named. So right now, I'd say in my position, we have like 30, 40 guys who are brakemen, and we're going to have evaluations pretty much starting in July. We'll have a season all through November to January. We'll race internationally. You have to qualify your country, but at the same time, you're doing your own job interview for that team to be named in January.
Right,
so pretty much starting in July here,
let's go.
I'll be competing against everyone else, and then the team gets named in January, and that's who goes to represent us at the Olympics.
That's
neat,
awesome.
Dude.
Well, dude,
that's neat.
Good luck. Congratulations. I know you got some sponsors, some local sponsors. I know Paul Williams was super excited to sponsor you. You want to talk about those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was just really cool. I mean, I was starting, obviously there's not a lot of money in our sport, and a big thing that the hard part with any sport when it comes to that is I'm not big on social media. I'm not great at it, 1, and 2, it's just in general, I haven't spent a lot of time doing it. So it's always been hard. And plus in a sport that doesn't have a lot of notoriety, it's not like I'm going to get Nike to sponsor me. I'm not going to have the pull to do something like that. But in general, I found out that, hey, I have a lot of really authentic, great relationships with some great people in Sanford and some great businesses. I love the Willow Tree. This everything that has to do with Sanford. There's little things about the area that I just love. I grew up in the area. I went to Seminole High School. My mom went to Seminole High School.
That's awesome.
I was in the homecoming parade on coming down the street. It was like, I just grown up in that area and I love it. And I'm like, why don't I just look for people that I already love what they do? I love their product. And then if I ever needed to tell people about it, I already endorse it without asking for money anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do.
I like this, man.
It's just better.
Yeah.
I find that I would never want to be inauthentic. I never want to be the guy saying like, go buy this product when I don't care for it or even use it.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of really loving and having that authentic relationship. And I love Sanford. I love Florida. So I thought, why not just look at what I love about this area and see if there's anything I can give them in return for some sponsorship or whatever it might be. And that's been honestly the best thing I've ever done. Wow. It's been pretty cool looking into that option.
We are certainly rooting for you, man. I know all of the chat rooms just lighten up with people that didn't know your story and loved the interview, and we can't thank you enough for giving us the time. Thanks and love to Paul and everybody, Hollowbox and everybody in Sanford for supporting you, because we support Sanford, and they've always been really, really kind to me and Tom. Like when we were looking for venues and places to roll things out when we needed it, Paul and Theo and everybody in that town kind of opened it, was really kind to us.
It's the next Key West of Central Florida.
We're huge fans. So, hey.
Sanford is one of the best. I mean, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, frankly. It's a great facility I have up here at the training center up here in Lake Placid, but anytime I get the chance, I come home, and that's been very important to me, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Awesome, man.
Well, Josh, we appreciate talking to you, man, and throw out your social media real quick so people can follow you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm at J Williamson USA, and just again, I'm not great about it, but I'm trying to be better about it with the Olympic year. But I also do a lot of living, so I don't do a lot of. Sometimes I don't get on there as much as I should, but I try to keep everyone as updated as I can, and I really love to just keep in touch with people from the area and keep everybody kind of a part of this journey as I get closer to kind of the Olympics coming up in February. Hopefully, making that team.
Awesome, Josh. Well, it's great talking to you, and we'll keep up with you, and when you make the Olympics, we'll talk to you then. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, man.
Really
Take care, man.
This is a lot of fun.
Anytime, man. Anytime. We'll check back in. Take care. And that was
a cool story.
How cool was that?
It was awesome.
That's phenomenal. We will take a break, and bye-bye.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan, and welcome back.
Yes, and we're at the tail end of Fringe weeks. I'll say weeks because it's been multiple weeks.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of happy that Beer Garden's hanging around.
Yeah, and there's still Fringe shows going on.
Indeed. Get your button first, though. You got to do that. You got to get your button before you get your tickets.
And speaking of Fringe shows, we got a friend of the show that has a Fringe show.
How did you even say that?
Nicole. Oh, no.
God! I jinxed you.
You know what happened? I was like, it's Dupre, don't say Dupree. And
if you want to be free, don't say Dupree.
And then I was like,
if you want to save the day, you got to go Dupre.
Is it Dupre? Or is it Dupree? And
Where do you go? Where do you do?
And then I said, of course it's Dupre. All this happened when I was trying to say Nicole, by the way.
You go to a church, Dupre. That's how you'll remember it.
That will never.
Okay,
You don't
never mind.
understand.
Well, just introduce our guest, please.
How you doing, Nicole?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Oh, anytime. And you brought along a guest, and I love it when you can bring. Because see, we don't really get in anybody of any importance other than people that have been in here and talked to us. Nicole has been in here multiple times and talked to us. But if we wanted to go outside of our just smaller circle of friends, it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Nicole brings to the table the know-how, the power, and the elbow grease to get the big-time guest. And who did you bring along, my dear?
Oh, the superstar sheriff himself, Sheriff Dennis Lima of Seminole County.
That's your sheriff, Tom.
Yes, it is. I have a lot to talk about with Sheriff Lima because I got some.
Maybe Nicole and I'll just handle this one. Maybe it'll just be a single. Me and Nicole get the word out, and you and Dennis can go somewhere else and talk about your.
Well, I got to ask him about the raccoon problem. I have
let's talk about what they're doing first, and then I promise that I will let you ask the sheriff about your raccoon problem. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes, it is.
Sheriff Lima, is that okay with you if we get to the business first before we get to Tom's raccoons?
Listen, Dan, I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time, and I was so blessed that Nicole extended it because, look, I've seen the cult type of following that you guys have with this sticker everywhere, so this is a long time coming for me.
Oh, right on.
All right.
He finally found out our ticket challenge. The lid's been blown off the show. He knows about the ticket challenge, the stickers where we promised our listeners that it would get them out of tickets. How we had no power or jurisdiction to even say that, Sheriff.
Well, I thought the 5-point star stickers were good. I don't know what you guys got going on with the stickers you got everywhere.
So, Nicole, let's talk about the Friends show because I know it's about a topic that's near and dear to you, and we've talked about it before.
Definitely to us. You know, I've had run-ins with the difficulty that can be addiction, even within my own family.
Yeah. So, talk about the show for a second, Nicole.
Right. And I also want to thank you guys very, very much for having all the Fringe artists on that you have had.
Oh, we love this.
It's been a difficult year for a lot of people in entertainment. And so we're all so excited to have a 13-day festival here in Orlando. There's over 70 different shows, and we were really lucky that we won the lottery to be able to put in our original show, which is called Requiem. And that is presented by my company called Opera del Sol. Mm-hmm. And it follows one woman's tragic life through trauma and opioid addiction. And we really wanted to tackle this subject matter because it has really touched my life, losing my ex-husband after his 10-year battle with addiction. And, as a healing way, I just really turned to music. And in 2019, with my incredible creative team, we decided to, make a full-out show where we can use music to really start a dialogue and to start a conversation around such a subject matter that can be really, really heavy.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that you're pairing it with entertainment, a lot of times I always do best if there's a heavy subject, because this stuff can get kind of sad, right? Yeah. But I always do best when you kind of deliver the message to me in a creative way. I'm a creative type. So if I go to Fringe and see this type of show, this is the type of stuff that typically resonates with me. Tom can't get raccoons off his brain. I can see it in his eyes. I can see it in his eyes.
I'm writing down my questions.
Okay. Fair enough. How did you come up with this, and was it difficult to decide that, because a lot of times some of the stuff that I've seen Opera del Sol do, you guys are on a bus, doing a pop-up show here, or, you're doing this very immersive opera while people are actually having a party. Now, something like this might be a little bit more heavy. How did you guys decide to go in this typical direction, or untypical direction with, writing this particular opera?
Well, everything that we do really has the community at the heart of what we do. And so what we want to really kind of do is create the soundtrack to social issues. And so what we thought would be really great is, yes, we have done pop-ups on trains and on the bus and things like that, but it's really about bringing music to people who may not be able to be exposed to it. And I just believe that music has so many healing properties. And this started out as a 15-minute piece we did for the Creative City Project back in 2019.
Yeah.
And it had such a cool response response that we thought we would add an entire script and dialogue with this. And so in the last few months leading up to the festival, we really wanted to use this as a community advocacy piece. And, you know, you've heard all the things that I love to do with the community, but I think it's really about using what you have to make your community a better place. And I just happen to have a music organization where I believe that we have an incredible team that can create these original pieces of art that can really speak to people in the community. And I just think, you know, especially with seeing the numbers and hearing Sheriff talk over the last year, you know, there are people who are hurting, and there are so many people who are not just addicted, but those people like myself included who have been affected by this crisis, you know, by loving someone or losing someone.
Yeah, so, and we all have. And let's talk about that for a second. Yeah. Sheriff, you know, where are we kind of at, if you could, like, you know, tell us, you know, overall, like, what you're seeing out there? Where are we kind of at with this thing that we've been seemingly battling, especially in the state of Florida, for I don't even know how long now.
Then it got worse during the pandemic.
It did. It has gotten worse in the pandemic. What are you seeing, Sheriff?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, we got involved in this first by understanding it from a clinical standpoint. And, you know, we've identified that this is not a situation of trying to make bad people good, but rather sick people well. Yep. And we have an unprecedented dependence on substances at this time, particularly with opioids. Yeah. I think that we all now know the story of the Sackler family and Big Pharma and Purdue Pharmaceutical, and created this unprecedented addiction. But what has happened now is people are dying at record numbers because they're going to street-level fentanyl. And to give you kind of a comparison, in 2020 in Seminole County alone, which, you know, we know is a very affluent county, the third most densely populated county in the state of Florida, great school systems, wonderful quality of life, we had 741 overdoses in 2020 in 1 year.
Wow.
109 overdose deaths. And sadly, the unintended consequences of COVID-19 show a 40% increase in overdoses and about a 37% increase in overdose deaths. So another way to put that, there's never been a time in history that more people has died of anything within our community, if you take out COVID-19, than this. And, you know, we had daily news conferences of COVID, and, you know, we wore our masks and we were socially distancing. But this problem has been brewing right underneath our nose, and it's just not a local problem. It's a national problem. There's 100,000 people, you know, that are dying each year of this.
And Sheriff, this is not just, and especially with opioid, it affects every single person because, like,
man, I've got buddies of every socioeconomic makeup that this is affecting. I've got the guys that are barely living, and I got the guys that are rich and barely living, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm on the board of directors for Victoria's Voice. That's David and Jackie Siegel, who are, you know, billionaires with a B.
Yeah, I remember.
And they lost their daughter, Victoria, to this. And it's just their advocacy and people like Nicole and many others sharing their personal journey on this struggle. I will tell you, it makes society feel good. There's actually a biological effect when you can help people, and saving somebody's lives is contagious, and that's what we want to kind of do in any way that we can. And partnering with the arts is a big part of that because it gets the word out there, it sends the message, and we want people to know that there are people out there that are willing to help. And if you look at what we've done here in Seminole County, we've put together the Hope and Healing Center. We had the executives from Walmart give me a check for $750,000. And Advent Health takes care of all the cost of this to get people clean regardless of their level of insurance coverage.
That's awesome. And again, the show is called Requiem, OrlandoFringe.org.
Yeah, and I love what you said about healing people. I mean, that really is. This isn't good or bad. You know, I have one.
Well, I tell you, and your viewers know this is look, you can't arrest your way out of this problem. And I would suggest that crime and community problems are symptoms of larger issues, whether they're substance use, mental health. We have to get people clean.
Oh, mental health is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we preach that all the time on the show, and we're pretty open about that. But, yeah, this is awesome, guys. This is really, really cool.
So why I have Sheriff Lima on the line, I just got a couple Sheriff.
What venue are you at, Nicole? I don't want to get out all the good stuff. Where can we get out?
Hey, listen. If you could transition from opioid overdoses to raccoons, you're really, really good.
No, what about raccoons on opiates? Because that's what I think I have a problem here. Because they're scratching to get in.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. I will say that they need it.
Well, yeah. What venue, Nicole, real quick?
Right. We have 3 more shows Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are inside the Orange venue, which is inside the Orlando Shakespeare Theater.
Oh, you got a good venue.
And we do. We got the biggest one. And one really cool thing, Sheriff also sits on the board of directors for Project Opioid. And I had reached out to them when I heard that the Orlando Fringe Festival was going to have a community tent where people could take different shifts. And what has happened now, 10 out of the 14 days, Project Opioid has partnered with the Fringe Festival to actually distribute Narcan. And Aspire Health has provided peer support specialists. So anybody who needs access to resources or wants to learn more about Narcan, or maybe even triggered by some of the heavy content in our show, they can go to the community tent right after every one of our shows. And, we have sold almost 600 tickets. So to know that 600 people have heard our message, but then also the thousands of people that are attending the festival now have had the opportunity to receive resources from Aspire and Project Opioid, as well as Narcan if they need it. So I think it's just about using what you have to, make the world a better place.
Indeed.
Awesome. So Sheriff, I have this raccoon problem, and I'm a resident of Seminole County. My sons go to Seminole County schools. I pay taxes, lots of taxes.
That's not his problem.
But I call it the Castleberry Woods. And remember where the old burnt out Hooters was, and then it turned into a seafood restaurant?
My favorite Hooters.
And then it turned to now it's a car wash. The woods next to that in Castleberry, there seems to be a infestation of raccoons.
You want him to take SWAT out there?
No. I know it's not. This is an animal control problem. It has nothing to do with the sheriff, but I know the sheriff knows people.
Well, why would you waste his time?
No, because I know he's got influence.
Listen. Huh? Hey, keep talking, Tom, because you know what? It just reflects the quality of life that you have in Seminole County when the biggest problem that you have is raccoons living in some vacant land over there.
That's a good spin.
I know some people. I can help you out.
That's a good spin right there. Man, this guy's good.
And second...
You didn't know you were up against a guy this heavy.
Sheriff Lima, I'm sure you're familiar with the Kewanee Trail, that I take it often with my sons to get over to the playground.
At the apartment complex that you shouldn't be in.
It says no motorized vehicles in a sign, right? And now I like to use my one wheel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a one wheel, but it's like it's kind of like a Segway, but it's like a skateboard with one big wheel.
It's what nerd dads ride when you're tasing them and they've had too much to drink in a Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot. That's what happened.
And so it says no motorized vehicles, but I'm like, well, I'm pulling a wagon with my sons, and I'm not really bothering anybody. And, Sheriff, this is where I'm going with this. I look out for my community, and I'm looking around for any sort of danger or criminals.
Yeah, so you're basically patrolling.
So I'm kind of doing
watch patrol.
An active neighborhood watch with my sons. Yeah. Plus, I want to show my sons that I'm a hero, so I can't wait to, encounter some...
apprehend somebody.
That I'm holding everything.
Is this a segue into a request for me to deputize you?
Like Elvis. Just like Elvis with Nixon. I can get him fat again. I'll get him fat again, and he'll be in your office, and you guys can shake hands awkwardly. Fat Tom gets deputized.
I want to be Castleberry Elvis.
You already are.
And I want you to bring me in to some sort of conference room where
you're wearing a silly cape. That's the best part of that photo with Elvis and Nixon is Elvis has on a cape.
And I not only want to be deputized, but I want my one wheel to be deputized to be able to go into areas that are technically off limits by motorized vehicles, but then I can show my, I'm a citizen patrol.
Your novelty badge.
I'm allowed because I'm scanning the environment.
Sheriff, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm going to have to give that some thought. I tell you what, I'm very familiar with the area and all that, and I bet you have the fancy one wheel, but don't those things go 30 miles per hour or so?
No, I'm taking it easy. Yeah. I mean, if I need to apprehend someone, I'm going to lean forward and go
high-speed chase. Use a pit maneuver. You'll be using pit maneuvers.
I got a funny feeling after this airs, we're going to get like an influx of calls for service that there's some crazy guy driving through Wiltshire and up and down Derbyshire on a one-wheel device.
Very familiar with
telling
Derbyshire.
people to slow down, and they want to know if he's a deputy or not.
No, he'll know he's not a deputy because he's holding a two-fisting white claw.
Well, that's my. You have to have a little bit of bravery to apprehend some criminals.
Oh my God!
I can't just get it.
Sheriff,
sorry,
I didn't know this was going to happen.
You did. I think everybody. I'm starting to blame the guests now because they know him. They know him. Nicole, we love you, and we love what you're doing. Sheriff, thank you so much for the time. And again, guys, you only have a couple more shows that you can check this out. If you're a Fringer, this is probably going to be one that you're going to want to see. If you want to, it's in one of the bigger venues. I like the bigger venue shows. They're really, really fun. And let's see, tickets are $12. You got to have a Fringe button. OrlandoFringe.org can tell you everything that I'm blanking on right now. Thank you guys for the time.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Sheriff,
Thank
Nicole,
you,
well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and thank you, Nicole. If you haven't heard her story, you're going to hear the circuit. We're going to be doing a lot of work together. She's going to be actually partnering inside of our correctional facility, but remarkable courage for her to share that story. It helps others out.
Absolutely. 100%. Nicole, we appreciate your bravery, and we love you, and we will talk to you very soon.
I love you, too.
Thank you, Nicole.
Bye.
Thanks, Sheriff.
And thanks, Sheriff. We'll see you soon.
Guys.
Yep, later.
Okay.
Oh, we did a lot of bad there. We did a lot of bad there. I blame that on you. I'm very uncomfortable right now.
Now I remember, when I get pulled over, I'm like, I
embarrassed myself on the phone with Sheriff Lima. You may remember me. I am known as One-Wheel Raccoon Man. I don't think anybody wants to be known as that, right?
I'm the Raccoon Man.
I can see, one of the things we talked about, because we're open baby now, is that we're going to be very honest on the show.
No.
And I can look into Nicole's eyes and see that she's done with us. I saw the friendship dissolve there. I did. And that would hurt a little bit. Anybody else that goes back and watches the video of this will look in my eyes and see that I'm sad because you're ruining a friendship that we have.
No.
I hear her on the Jim Colbert show, and it's all business. She comes on here, and it's all non-business. It's all just tomfoolery.
No, we got the business out. I just need to network while we have these people on the phone because they won't talk to me.
The chat room disagrees with you. They think Nicole likes us, but I disagree. There was there was one point you guys will remember when the sheriff was like kind of playing with us a little bit, where she sat back, and I'm like, that's it. That's it. She's done with us. We'll never see her again.
Yeah, because he's, the sheriff.
He's got a little bit of us in him.
Yeah. Well, you got to be.
He's a man. He's got a little bit of dum-dum in him because he's a man. He's not an elevated. He's not a woman. I always say women are just
women of the art. They're sophisticated.
Yeah, they're sophisticated, and we're just not those guys. Now
me and Sheriff Lima,
he is, but he's had to work really hard. To earn that. You though, I don't know, man. You always say that I embarrass you. Like I embarrassed you over at Publix today because I'll get into a conversation with people and then I'll make some comment about my IBS.
That's way more embarrassing.
No, this was very embarrassing because people hear this. That was only 3 people. This is thousands of people. Or if according to radio people, millions of people heard that.
Millions. Oh, we should be rich.
I was told when I did radio that millions of people would hear me. The only people that heard me were a couple thousand, and it was just the weather. Not a big deal.
All right. Oh, bye-bye. Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. No Sam.
No. She's still on vacation in the mountains of Georgia.
It looks like she's having a lot of fun. She went to, and I like saying this because it makes Tom laugh, and the topic before we hit the air was old people. She went to Babyland General, the home of the Xavier Roberts Cabbage Patch Kid dolls.
Wow.
She got to see Mama Cabbage birth a cabbage where I believe the entire crowd screams, "Push, Mama Cabbage, push!" I've always wanted to go. I have always wanted to go to this.
Mama Cabbage?
Yeah, Mama Cabbage. I have always wanted to, and see, I know a lot about this because I've had in-depth discussions with somebody else who's been there, our friend Summer Aiello. This is years ago, too, by the way. This isn't like a new thing. And Sam gets to be at Babyland General, and I am very jealous.
I feel like this should be on my bucket list.
Yeah, well, what I want to do, you go up there with your medical marijuana in hand.
There you go.
And you pre-gamed
you can't bring that to Georgia.
And you pre-gamed at the, before you cross the state line. And you pre-game at the hotel, and then you walk in, and you keep your giggling down to a minimum, and then you walk around Babyland General and have the time of your life. I love weirdo stuff.
You're not going to have the time of your life.
I love weirdo stuff.
So Deborah's here from Fairville Megastore. How you doing, Deborah?
I am doing great. Thank you.
So you guys do a really good job with kind of theming every month because every month has something to it, right?
Yeah, like some kind of party.
Some sort of
like today is
holiday.
National Senior Health and Fitness Day.
I need to go walk around the block.
Well, me too. Me too.
And you mentioned that June is Pride Month, and also you brought in a bunch of party, I guess, supplies.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I see something that I don't think you can put on camera. That's made of aluminum that I'm going to need to buy. It's a cake pan shaped like a veiny D.
The veiny D cake.
Sign me up for 5 of those, please.
And we have them in multiple sizes.
No, really?
Oh, yeah.
Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have elevator button?
You think I embarrass you?
Well, I just like multiple sizes.
I don't think they have a tiny, grotesque, in the bush cake pan.
Oh, my gosh.
So I feel like if you're going to have a bachelorette party, and you're looking for some things that
there's
are
only
shaped
one
like
place.
these.
There's only one place you can go. Don't go to the mall.
No.
Don't order online because you're going to get garbage, by the way. I'm just telling you, if you're going to order it, if you're going to Wish, if you're hitting up Oriental Trading, which I don't think you're allowed to say that, but it's a company. And I tell my wife that because she gets the catalog out. I'm like, nah, well, if you're going to get something spicy, go to Fairville so you can actually see the products.
You're going to get some straight up cancer plastic Alibaba pee-pee.
And you're going to get the Alibaba pee-pee. I'm telling you. And you're going to, nothing's worse. And this, my dad said this, the last thing he said in his deathbed. Nothing's worse than getting cancer from a straw shaped like a penis. Nothing worse than that. You literally get lip cancer and die. And why did he get cancer? Because you ordered the D straws from Alibaba.
So sorry, Deborah. So let's start with what do you want to start with the party D's?
I rattled you. It was the dad comment. I'm sorry. I rattled you. I deserve that. I'm sorry.
Well, let's start with the engagement and all that party stuff first. I think that's great.
Let's ease in. Let's
ease in. Well, it all kind of works together in this fun Fairville way. But, a lot of people who have put off their weddings and their engagement parties, for the last year because, come on, you couldn't really get a group together and feel comfortable.
No.
So it is now open season. I'm telling you, game on. A lot of people are planning their weddings. They're planning their parties. They're doing their bachelor parties. And we are stocked. We are ready for that. We're seeing an uptick in all the movement of those products. So I brought a cool assortment of items. We have all the party sashes, and we have fun takeoffs on those too. We actually have rainbow party sashes, depending on what you're looking for. Bride Pride.
Oh, Bride Pride.
Yeah,
a lot of that's going to be happening.
Absolutely.
I have a very good gay buddy who's hitching the wagon during Pride Week.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
like linking it up.
Yep, and why not even? We have them in other colors, but why not even have a rainbow light up shot glass with a little penis on the inside?
No, if it didn't have a penis on the inside, my daughter would love that. She loves to light up necklaces. It's a good thing you told me.
It's a necklace too. You can wear it around your neck. Everybody buy you a shot.
You can tell. If you look inside, it's.
I don't know if anybody
I'll do a test.
My sons wouldn't know what that is. I think they would be like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's fine."
And of course, like you mentioned, we do have the cake pans that I won't hold up, but we have.
Well, maybe I can do something here.
There's 2 in that particular one.
Can I do it like this? Can I hold it up like that?
That looks like a balloon.
Yeah,
that does look like a balloon.
Yeah,
that looks good.
Yeah, it's a cake pan.
Yeah.
You get the idea. There.
Why is the string so thick?
There's actually 2 of them in that package, so you can actually make a cake in it, or you can use them for trays to hold snacks. You can make an ice cream cake in it. I mean, whatever you want to do for this special party.
Jello.
Yeah, a big old Jello.
Creamy Jello, like my grandma used to say, where you add the milk to it and you put lumps of coconut and pineapple inside.
Oh, what about marshmallows?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Put those on the tip. I'm sorry.
It's interesting.
You always get speechless when she brings in the novelty D's.
Bachelor parties don't do the V straws or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Too hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Also, it's
too hard. We missed out on that. We get everything else, man. We can let them have peony straws.
No, I know, but it's weird that you go heavy with the Bachelorette D's, and then
guys don't do that.
Guys don't do anything with the P's.
What we do is a lot more sinister.
Like strippers.
It is a little bit because we're like, one more night. I am a monkey. I am a horrible monster. One more night before I hitch myself to this woman. I can never see another one. I am a moron.
I think it used to be like you were like. Borderline cheat on
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and girls, they just a couple of plastic, a sash, a good,
go out get some drinks on.
Yeah, male review. At the spiciest male review.
Yeah, plastic D's and a sash, and then that's it.
That's very harmless.
I will cheat tonight.
I'm going to ruin my. I'm getting married tomorrow, but tonight I ruin it.
But you're gonna cry, bro. Because they always cry.
They always cry. They always cry.
Well, we do have plenty of V's in the form of, what am I trying to say?
Popcorn, and I was like,
almost
I'm in.
did, right? Now,
Yeah.
I almost said popsicles, actually.
I'm into that, too.
Lollipops, chocolates, and things like that. So we have them in a variety of genitalia. So lucky everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
We do have some really fun games for the bachelorettes, though, too. We have the Cosmos Bachelorette Party Games. Just a lot of fun.
Oh, that's brand name.
Yeah, right?
That?
And I'm just ignorant to this, but in the gay community, do men have bachelor parties, like dual bachelor parties, separate? And
that's
is that a thing?
That
I
really
don't know.
is a great question.
Somebody
needs to write in.
Okay, this is going to be a stereotype, but I'm just going to say yes because my gay friends have more fun at parties. That makes sense?
I know, but it seems like
we're too grumpy. You're definitely too grumpy.
Well, I don't know, because it seems like an antiquated the bachelor party for guys, for heterosexual guys. Going back to the tonight I'm gonna cheat.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe an antiquated thing.
I made love to a man. They turned the lights on in the strip club, and I was holding a redneck.
You're like, what happened
I was
here?
literally holding Rodney the Gator Hunter or somebody. It was like a man.
But I don't know if that's we'll have to hear from some of our
some of the games they have in here is That's What He Said, Nuptial Name Game, Porn or Polish, Minute to Win It, Minute to Win It. It's cool. They'll have some task on here, and you got to do that before the time runs out. Bachelorette Bucket List, and more. This is very cool.
Yep. And
good price point on that, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's
we
value.
have a lot. I mean, everything from dice to card games, all kinds of stuff. Of course, we have the obligatory button that a bride has to wear.
Yeah.
This one happens to be Bride and Dirty.
Oh, I like that. You should wear that all day.
And by the way, if you don't go full cheat on your bachelor party and you decide to go like pure, I want to go for like a fly fishing retreat. Because then I'm like,
I looked down
what is it? Like, this is boring.
I know what the listeners are
saying.
Fly fishing. The listeners say, Dan, you can't have it both ways. You can't say don't cheat on your wife, but this bachelor party's lame. And you know my answer to that is yes, I can. I'm going to back up both of those.
You could ask. Absolutely.
You're going to end up at the Cabbage Patch Hospital.
Don't cheat on your wife. Babyland General would be a decent.
No,
Babyland General would be a decent bachelor party. This is what I want.
What is that?
So this is the Pecker Party confetti gun.
Don't ever say that again.
Oh yeah.
Don't ever say that again.
The
Deborah.
Pecker Party confetti gun.
Yeah.
What does that do?
Well,
I don't know.
If you guys really want to open it up,
I want to put it in Butler's mouth and pull the trigger.
Get a pair of scissors and open that baby up. I'm not vacuuming.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, we have the cleaning lady comes tomorrow.
She's going to be really again.
No, I have to hide the weenies when she comes in. She's like a really good. She's a sweet woman.
Like okay.
So Pecker Party confetti gun.
Butler, give me some scissors.
And if you would rather have something else, we do have other confetti in other shapes.
Sperm confetti. You can say that.
Yep.
I can say that. All right, I'm opening up the Pecker Party confetti gun.
Yep. It has several rounds of ammunition.
Give this to your son. Is it loaded?
It's their last day of school. I could celebrate.
You're supposed to look right in the barrel.
And I want to say that we also have one that has the sperm confetti too, but these are the little peeny
Okay.
confetti.
Oh, these are peonies.
Okay.
Peonies.
And so
right, hold on.
This. Do you have to load it?
Yeah, and you get
it's like a revolver.
Yeah, this is like a legit gun.
Oh, those is that one of those like that has like some sort of like the firework?
All right, ready?
It's got a firework.
Here we go.
Oh, you're shooting it.
He's got a gun.
Well, shoot it at me and see what.
No, I'll put it in the air.
No, shoot it at my face.
Okay, right in your face. No, because then a Brandon Lee scenario. A Brandon Lee. You remember what happened on the set of The Crow? You remember the movie The Crow?
Yes.
They had a blank in there, and then the wadding from the blank came out of the gun and killed him. What if you were killed by the Pecker Party confetti gun?
Can you imagine the lawsuit?
I knew it.
And my life would be ruined. I'm on the cover of everything, and they're like, this local pod nester pulled the trigger on the Pecker Party confetti gun. I'd be worse than what Jade did with the water wee thing when what they did.
Oh, she got famous.
She did get famous. Hold on, let me shoot you in the face. Here we go. I'm doing it.
All right,
3, 2, 1.
All right.
Yes. Now the party started.
Hey. Now I'm going to start to going into any party. I'm going to be like, what's happening here? It's amazing.
And
that is awesome.
Yeah, it's a metallic confetti, too. Like, this is not just any ordinary confetti.
God, I hosed myself down.
Butler, get the vacuum.
Yeah, get the vacuum, Butler. You got to vacuum up all these D's. Vacuum the D's, you idiot.
I'm going to email your wife a picture if you're doing it.
Yep, for sure. As we move on into thinking more about that special day, the wedding itself, providing maybe a gift if this person's kind of close to you, something fun. We have kits. We have lots of fun little intimacy kits with massagers that aren't intimidating.
I have one made by what company is that?
This is by a company called XR. It's called a Bang
Maybe
kit.
that's not the one I have, but I have one that's purple that I got from you guys. It was a little, it was like hey, I think we talked about it during quarantine. It was like, hey, we're bored. Here's a little box of fun things to do. And it's really cool.
Yeah, this is great because it has a rechargeable bullet in it. It actually goes into like a little finger vibe. It's not intimidating, a little C-ring, a little blindfold. So it's super fun. Everything is sealed, ready to go. And like I said, it's rechargeable too. So that's a super nice gift.
I'm a
you
little
don't have
bit
to spend a
C-ring.
fortune. It's under $50.
You're a little bit finger cuffed, I feel like, right?
The blindfold, I feel like is a very popular
it's powerful.
item.
It's a powerful move, man.
That I've never ever attempted or even attempted to attempt. Like for whatever reason. I think Crystal's way too paranoid. Like, if I put a blindfold on her,
what are you going to do?
Yeah. Bird box. She doesn't trust me, right? But I think it's bad.
If she takes it off, I guess it steals her soul or something.
And then I think she's going to prank me. So if I put it on, I'd be constantly nervous that I'm like, who else is in here? Who is that? I feel a beard.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel a beard. Why are you going to put me in there?
Nice.
That's Daniel.
Why would you yell that? Why would you wait till I'm on top of your wife to yell that's Daniel?
No. Yeah, there you go.
Then I'm running naked down your street.
Oh gosh. Or what about a little first bondage kit? It's very light. It's super soft ties and a little for your wrists and your ankles and a little blindfold.
Yeah,
and again, this is a $30 item. It's really easy.
That's
Great
a good
little
price
gift.
Point.
Like I said, you're going to a bachelorette party. Maybe you want to put together a nice little prize or a gift basket for this bride or groom.
And it's not. It's very classy. Like the packaging
classy.
And everything. You can pull this out of and it's all high end stuff.
Yeah, it's called Sex and Mischief.
This
it's
is super
really
cool.
Nice. Yeah, really soft.
I believe this is made of a micro suede, which oddly enough, I learned from Netflix, was invented by Halston. He invented micro suede because he invented a suede raincoat that got rained on, and he's like, he hated that. So then he invented his own version. So micro suede. So ladies could wear it all the time.
I feel like in the 80s, like 1 out of every 10 movies, there was always a scene where the sex worker would tie up the businessman and steal his money.
That still happens.
Does it ever happen?
Happened to me, and they stole one of my kidneys.
No.
They cut it out, and you wake up in a bathtub. No.
Full of ice.
I have heard that people...
does that happen? I guess maybe it's the people don't talk about it because...
It's normally the guy, right? It's normally like the foil, the guy gets tied up, and then his bros find him. like tied to the bed, and they're like, "Oh, look," and they put a hat on it, something like that.
Well, it's hard. They stole all his money and stuff, but they tied him up and he couldn't get out of it.
That one's a classic, and also skinny dip and steal the girl's clothing. That's a classic.
Oh yeah,
I still do that if I see people skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping is a thing of the past.
You can't do. They'd be arrested.
There's too many people around anymore, right?
And there's nobody skinny either.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's more like disgusto dipping.
And when you're putting together these gift bags, by the way, we have some really great new ones. They don't have to have just naughty words on them.
Yeah.
This one that I have actually says #lovable.
Oh, I love it.
It's really pretty. We have just a ton of fun gift bags too. So like I said, we're one-stop shopping here when it comes to that.
Yeah, you can get everything you need.
Oh yeah, you don't need
bag.
You don't need to go anywhere else. And you probably pick up something for yourself too while you're walking out.
Why else would you go?
Yeah,
really?
exactly.
And then if you're the bride, don't forget, we have some really beautiful items that you can buy for the night of as well. We have everything from really very nice, classy garter belts.
Yeah, look at that. That's pretty.
Yeah, super pretty, very adjustable, all kinds of sizing to fit any body. So
I'm a fan.
And of course,
I like that.
The little
I like
panty.
the hips. I like it up high, and I like all that.
Yeah, that's a great thing for the day out.
Call me a classic man, but that
There's
is
something that you know what?
Like it.
It's inside my DNA from the show Silk Stockings, the 1980s.
Boy,
wow.
Guys, he just shared an intimate detail. That's a very intimate detail.
And
he doesn't normally open up like this, Deborah.
Hold on, look up Silk Stockings.
You're spinning everywhere now. You all right, buddy?
He's turning red.
You need my pecker gun?
But there is something that is like burned into my psyche.
I'm with you.
About the garter belts and that.
I think that's a 90s thing. It was prevalent in a lot of the, like, if they wanted to make a show sexy, that is kind of the look they would go for. And it's classic. It never goes out of style.
We sell so many stockings.
Yeah.
It's really in. High heels are way back in. We have a ton of new styles now.
That's
selling very well.
What is that?
I want my wife on the highest heels.
Yeah.
In that, I like in stock. Yeah, I'm all about that 100%.
It's weird.
It accentuates the leg, man, and it makes everything look amazing.
What do you think that is? Because all other like fashion has changed, and you could see and like, all right, that's 80s pants and that's 70s pants.
Oh,
that's
you mean
90s
like
pants.
you mean like a new version of it? You want like a future version?
Lingerie and like garter belts and like the stockings and all that's like seems timeless, right? Like it's gone on for a long. I mean, I know there's tiny variations, but not huge. Like
I think to answer your question accurately, I think a lot of these styles go into like if you were to buy a book on fashion, they would throw in some mainstays that you would need. For a man, it'd be like a pair of like nice gray slacks or a pair. And I think that this might go into the category of like for what ladies we don't really have it as much. Like maybe for a man, it'd be like a nice pair of pajamas. Guys don't really wear that, but I'm just saying if you were taking style cues from like a book, I think this would go in as like just something that's timeless. That it always. That was made, I would imagine it's French in origin in some way because they were dealing with lace and all of that, and now it's kind of become like a main...
It's a staple for us. We have to keep them in stock, and people know that we carry them. And
all different sizes.
Yeah,
so
sizes,
if you're
colors,
a larger gal, they got you.
Absolutely.
I've had that question come up from, because you got the curvier ladies and they want to feel sexy and comfortable. There's only one place for you,
That's
Fairvilla.
Absolutely true.
That's his. He likes the curvy. Yeah. Likes the curvy.
The curvy.
You been on TikTok? Just curvy TikTok.
All right. And just because I know how much you like the body stockings, I brought a bridal body stocking here too. That's like the connected hose that go right into the body stocking itself. It's really cool.
That is really nice.
So again, you can really use your imagination.
Back end
Super
of that.
sexy.
Yeah, my God, the back end of that.
So make your wedding night extra special.
Teddy Body Stock. That's I'm changing my DJ name to Teddy
Body Stocking.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Teddy Body Stocking. I'm here with Deborah from Fairvilla. Uh-oh, pull the pecker gun. Oh, where's my pecker gun? Tom, have you seen it? I want to fire it.
No, you had it.
Oh, God, I'm spilling Mountain Dew. We're getting crazy.
That one shot far.
We're getting crazy on a Tease Out Tuesday.
Yep, absolutely.
So now Fair Villa, and as everything starts rolling back to, somewhat normal, we're seeing things on the uptick. And I know you guys have really been busy the entire quarantine or the entire pandemic because people, wanted to enjoy their lives. and they were like, well, this seems like one way if I'm stuck in the house.
Yeah. So it's one of the better ways.
But now things are opening up. Are you seeing like a rush of people now, like the second wave of people? All right, things are getting back to normal. Things are opening up. How's it been with that at Fair Villa?
Yeah, we've absolutely. I mean, we've remained very busy through pandemic. Like you say, a lot of people were at home. They wanted to make the most of it. Upgrade their wardrobe a little bit, add some excitement to their love life. And now we're still continuing to see an uptick. We're still very busy. I think people's attention will be a little more divided now that they're outside a little bit more. They're going to go to a movie theater and this and that. But we encourage people to continue to keep us in that as part of their extracurricular activities. Go to the movie, come by Fair Villa.
And man, I got a question from the chat room to maybe help them, because sometimes we get questions and I can't monitor the chat room as quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave this person in the lurch. Jay Cornell says, legit question. We've got some flavored lube, but it doesn't say on the bottle if it's to be digested orally. I assume all flavored ones are okay to do that, but assuming we've done that before. So he wants to know, what would you do in that case?
Depending on, I would probably, it should be lickable. That's absolutely fine to ingest it that way. I wouldn't consume large amounts of it. We do have some brands.
I think he wants to put it on ice cream.
Okay. Well, we actually have a diabetic customer at one of our stores that comes in and gets Wicked Sensual Care, makes wonderful flavors.
We've had some of the Wicked stuff. Yeah, it's good.
They're outstanding.
Is that the salted caramel one?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's the flavor they prefer, and they actually come in, we order them the biggest bottle we can get, and they use it on their foods, on their ice cream.
Weird.
Yeah.
It helps them get them down their throats.
All I'm saying is,
it's easier to eat a cactus.
There was, I know we're going to talk about like gay days coming up here in a second, but we actually did one of the expos, and I had brought in an ice cream machine, and we actually did flavored sundaes using another company's product, System Joe, and I got to tell you, it tasted amazing. It was wonderful. You could mix and match and do all kinds of fun sundaes with that. So most of them are made, yes, to be consumed and digested. Since I can't see that product label, it's one of those things I'd have to look up for you. But I feel pretty confident that it's going to at least be lickable. I would hesitate to use it in mass quantities. And my rule of thumb is typically don't use it internally. Just because you could actually have an issue with infection or something like that. Some of them are made for internal use as well. They have no glycerins or parabens or anything.
Those are the ones you like.
Could be a problem.
Tom's an internal lube.
But flavors typically, just to be on the safe side, use on the outside of the body.
I like it.
Deborah, thanks so much for coming in. I know with the gay days coming up and like June, what is the I guess the staple? I know with Disney, is that did they do it in Disney World in June?
Yes.
Or is it June? Okay.
It is in June, but I'm blanking on the date right now of when it.
It's usually the first week and weekend of June that we typically work with, like the Gay Days Expo. This year it is canceled again, just out of abundance of caution, because you have to plan so far ahead for these things. They had to make the call,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will be back on next year. That does not mean, however, that there won't be events happening at local bars. I'm sure there will probably still be some people that make that pilgrimage into Disney throughout the month. So we have, of course, and you know how I love my gumball poodle. We have new gumball poodle pride socks in.
Those are great.
Show your pride.
Oh, they're running a lower size now.
Yeah, they have the knee highs and they have the crew.
Yeah, I like crew socks.
Yep.
I'm a sucker for a good crew sock, and they're really well made socks.
Yeah,
they're not
super
just
good.
they're not just fun. They're like they'll end up being the ones you like to wear.
Yep. So we have lots of fun things, from rainbow tutus to socks. I even brought some engagement party tape. If somebody's planning to do that this month. rainbow pecker bites for the party.
Rainbow.
If you want to have your own party and celebrate Pride.
I'm Teddy. What was my name? I'll be Teddy Bodystocking, and you're Rainbow Pecker Bites. And we are the new morning show.
Yeah. I like that. Man, we could be huge in the gay community.
We're not gay, so maybe not.
Listen, we don't have to be gay to make.
You can be supportive.
Yeah, we can never say we're gay.
No.
That's how you shoot you in your foot.
Why? Well, what if I say I don't know yet? Because it's not going to go yet. Daniel doesn't either.
I don't know that. I'm still on my journey. It's like when people ask me about Christianity. I go, I'm still on my journey. I'm figuring it out.
It could be. I have no idea.
I'm holding out until I die. And then if there is a God, bring me
You're
up.
going to know.
And if there's not,
Yep, absolutely.
And if he's gay, I was gay the whole time.
So, Fairville Megastore, location on OBT, obviously, that's their biggest location.
That's the
mainstay.
Yeah. But there are other locations you can go to as well.
On the coast, I Drive, in Secrets Hideaway, down in the Keys, Key West, which I imagine is going crazy right now.
Yeah. I fell off of Florida. It partied so hard. As soon as the masks.
Right.
Yeah.
It just detached and started floating out to sea.
Yeah. There's tons of stories about how airline tickets are insane. Everybody's
freaking out.
It's open.
Everybody's freaking. I'm so glad that I have airfare for my birthday coming up. Like, I don't even think we'd get a flight.
Or you could, but it'd be insane.
Right.
Deborah, thanks so much for coming by. We appreciate it. We'll
take a break. Or is this? Yeah. Where are we? 3?
No, we'll take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Come right back with more A Corporate Time. Welcome back to A Corporate Time. I am Dan.
I'm Tom. So, you've all heard my raccoon problem. I've been talking about it for a while. How can we not
hear about it? You brought it up with Seminole County Sheriff. Dennis Lima was on the program. This man has a lot to do. A lot going on in Seminole County, and you proceeded to address these, what are you calling it, the Seminole Woods raccoon infestation?
Yes. Now, we have a wonderful pest control sponsor, Byrne Pest Control, and Joe Byrne is
the one you stole from Samantha.
Yes, it is. I steal a lot of Samantha. Semantics.
She's good. She got a good podcast. Check it out.
Burn, Mo.
Burn them pests.
Yeah. Just anything I can. And now she stopped telling me about it.
Uh-oh, sorry. Didn't mean to launch that.
So, Joe Byrne is on the line. How you doing, Joe?
Good, man. What's up?
So,
see, another busy person you're bothering. I can hear it in his voice.
Now, Joe
it's all
Byrne.
good. I can work and talk.
Yeah. All right.
So, Joe Byrne, now, Byrne Pest Control. You know, it's funny. I just referred you to my neighbor, Francis. He asked me. I love he's Francis. He said, what's the pest control sponsor again? I'm like, Byrne Pest Control. Yep. BYRNE Pest Control.
Got links on TomandDan.com.
And go ahead and plug your website and everything, Joe.
Yeah, it's byrnepest.com, BYRNEPEST.com. And you can get everything you need for us on there. It lists all the services, everything.
Awesome.
And Joe's an awesome dude. And I think a lot of supporting small business, like, hey, support really nice people, right? Like, good people that want to do
like
good
the
business.
Relationship of, dealing with him.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about dealing with good folks.
And it's nice to have.
Oh, yeah. We all really appreciate it, the smaller companies. And anything you guys give us and any customer that we give, get. Anything, we can always use, and we do everything that we can to make everybody happy,
Yeah,
that's the point.
100%, and that's why we love, working with sponsors like Joe, is because we love his business. He runs an awesome business, and people are happy.
You
when
can
they
see
use.
me chewing my lip, right? I'm trying to figure out what the butt is here. It seems,
no.
So it sounds like you're up to something.
No, I want to explain. So because Joe's so good at his business, he heard me bitching about my raccoon problem, and they're doodling all over my yards and ripping up my my plants.
They're
and
eating all your bulbs. And,
they're eating my bulbs,
and they were ripping up your new plants.
And they ate the kids' Easter egg chocolate. That whole thing. Anyway, so Joe, being an awesome dude, he was like, well, I'm going to fix this for Tom because I know how to handle raccoons because I'm in the pest control.
He's a pestman.
Yeah, not that Joe, that's really your main forte, right? Like, you don't want to be handling a bunch of raccoon calls, but you can do it, right?
Oh, no, we do it all. We do it all the time. Honestly, I was curious why it took you so long to call me.
Well, here's why, Joe.
He gets embarrassed, right? Like, don't you get weirded out, like, addressing people and saying, like, hey, y'all.
No. Getting free stuff from sponsors, I'm all about.
Okay, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I stand corrected.
In fact, I've been wanting to do it since the beginning. And, since I heard Samantha say Burn Pest Control was advertising on Samantha's show, I was like, hey, can I get a hookup on getting rid of these raccoons? And then Joe went ahead and set up the raccoon traps.
Yeah, you put down traps?
And then the person that runs his office called my wife to set up a time to bring by the traps and take care of our problem,
Fantastic, buddy. Congratulations.
Then I'm sure Joe was stupefied in the fact that my wife canceled the traps and said no thank you, right? Because Crystal said, I didn't know about these traps.
No traps here.
I do not want the traps. And I'm sure Joe was thinking, and I know we talked about this a little bit on the BDM show or maybe the future show.
It had to be disassembled.
No, it didn't even get delayed. Didn't even get set up.
Oh, she works fast.
Yeah, no, they canceled it before I made it out there.
Yeah. And I'm sure Joe was like, "Oh, is this guy insane? Maybe he loves the raccoons and he's using it for show, that
did cross my mind.
Danny Bonaducci was going crazy.
He's doing
it for the reality show.
Work.
Yeah.
Like Joe would feel terrible if, come to find out, it was just me in a raccoon suit, running around your house.
Or maybe I welcome the raccoons because it was show topics or something by the way, Joe, I can lie about any of this, no problem. I can make up whatever.
Gotta keep them around.
I do not. I hate the raccoons. Here's why, Joe. So my wife didn't want you to come by and trap the raccoons, and you may have thought because she was worried about you killing them, which was a worry back in the day when I originally brought up the traps, and I've been bitching about raccoons for years. A lot of people have offered
If you get them in the trap, you tie a string to the handle on the trap, and you throw the trap in an above-ground swimming pool.
No, apparently they just go out behind whatever Dollar Tree, whatever, like the Longwood Dollar Tree, and they put a 22 bullet in their head.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's the way to get rid of them.
That's efficient.
And I think isn't that the way, Joe?
It's all the tracking. You gotta track the trail of wherever they're at. Pick up the feces, roll it in your fingers, and to see how fresh it is. Oh yeah, all that.
No,
but just like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
No, but what I'm saying, Joe, is normally when you trap a nuisance raccoon, the state and it's all protocol. They're like you can euthanize it by they have some rules. You're not supposed to torture it, but they are fine with you putting a 22 bullet in its head, right?
They do have rules that we're supposed to follow. I tend to be on your wife's side, actually, and I don't like hurting animals. So that's the funny thing with all this is I know that was a big concern for you guys. I always use live traps, and I actually put food in them so that they have something to eat. Usually, I'll use a wet cat food so that there's a little moisture in there so that they're not overly thirsty.
Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich, extra pickles in there.
Oh, exactly. You'd probably not be surprised by the amount of that they let out, when we're taking them in the truck somewhere. But they just everything comes out, man, because they're scared. But we take them, and I actually have a property that a friend of mine owns. And
is it the Castleberry Woods? I hope you're.
It's Tom's house. He's renting.
Oh no, man! I put them in my own isolated area because I'm actually trying to grow a nice little raccoon army, for me to use later.
So you.
Go ahead.
You actually released them on a friend's property alive, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the property is actually way better than anything that would be here because it's in the middle of the woods. It's a hunt camp that he has.
And you don't
it has
do
a spring-fed pond, everything.
You don't do what I do, like in Red Dead Redemption 2, where the gentleman that is this treasure hunter gives you the map, and you're like, thanks, treasure hunter, and then you let him walk away, and then you pull your shotgun out, and you blow his hat off and take your money back that you paid for the treasure map. So you don't release them on the property.
You're a better man than me,
you
Joe.
Let them go, and as they're going, you're like 3, 2.
Yeah, I may not have the gumption to shoot the raccoon in the face, but I'm leaving them in something. I don't care. Anyway, now people are thinking, well, this is perfect. Why then because I did tell my wife, he releases them in the woods. He'll take a video. He emailed me and said, I'll videotape you.
Oh, wait. Will he put music underneath the video?
In the eyes of an angel.
Production.
Arms of an angel.
Yeah, I want some ducking, not the eyes of angels. The hills have angels.
What do I do that? God. Anyway, so I told my wife, I was like, he releases them in the woods. He doesn't kill them. They're fine.
Cool.
He gives them a Chick-fil-A 8-piece nugget.
Yeah, you're going the extra mile, man. You are doing
Absolutely.
You're doing the good things.
Still no traps, and here's why, Joe. Because my wife said she didn't want to take the raccoons away from their families, and she was worried that if you, I'm not joking, this is insane, Joe, and you can admit that it's insane, but she was like, what if, like, they're all a family?
I sure do miss my grandma raccoon.
You take a dad or a mom raccoon or a child raccoon, and then you separate it from his family, and now it's alone in the woods by itself. And Joe,
eating these maggots is not as much fun without Grandpa Raccoon.
Joe, I believe me. I said these animals they like, and then I said they eat garbage. They're hard. They live in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
They do not get. They do
I don't
not.
think they have a
they
family.
don't have an auntie or uncle. They don't. Their son.
Do they mourn? Do we? I don't
they
think they
eat
do,
their
right?
son's leg if they were starving. They don't care. They're
I would
animals.
eat my son's leg if I were hungry.
They're hardened animals.
Like I said, I'm just going to take them and drop them off into the rest of the civilization that I've already built. So they'll have friends.
Yeah, but they're not their family.
Yeah. I got friends and I got family, and it was only until all my family died, Joe, that I realized just how worthless my friends are.
So here's the work. Now, all this and the plugs for this request, Joe, because the only way I'm going to be allowed for you to trap these raccoons if you could somehow trap the whole family together.
Well, that's terrifying.
No, but I'm saying, and then bring them all to the woods together, and then release
like the Beverly Hillbillies,
and release the whole family so that they're not like excommunicated. What the whole
we can work this out, but we can work it out. I just need your help with it. So we'll trap everything.
God.
You can put them somewhere where there's a shelter. Then you have to give them food and water until I can take the whole family out.
Well, use your son's little schoolhouse.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can put like bars on, or something on the window so they can't get through it.
Now, I have put this idea past my wife, and she did mention the logical question of how are you going to determine if you're catching all the family together.
Well, you asked them.
And my response was, if they all came as a family, then they're all together, right? They go garbage hunting as a family.
No, the little one wandered off.
Okay, well
he was looking for an apple core.
We're gonna have to
we just have to wait for Grandma to catch up.
We're gonna have to get a grandma dress and a monocle.
Yeah, you're gonna have to label them. You're gonna have to label
Bart
them
Simpson
with
skateboard.
You're gonna have to label them with costumes so we know we got it right. So where are we? I can get some of Maisie's younger girl clothing for you. Get some of Tommy and Max's younger boy clothing. We need a Mima dress. We need a muumuu. We need an old grandpa. We need a cane. We need a wig.
Yeah, so we need Bart Simpson skateboard, a Lisa saxophone.
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole family.
Something so that we could take a picture and be like, look, the whole family.
Yeah, there they are.
And then, Joe, I'll help you.
Just drive over
we could just, I'll take my truck. You don't even have to look at it, Joe. I'll just smush it. I'll drive back and forth over all of them. And
well, hold on. Let's take the costumes off first. I saved the receipt for Party City.
You don't even have to go to your buddy's woods. I don't even care. Yeah. Like, we'll just tell my wife that.
You know what? Do it in your own street as a way to let the neighbors know that this will never happen again. There will be blood. Just a bastard in a basket.
The religious guy's my bowling alley. I'm stomping them flat. Anyway.
Put one on one of Butler's sticks.
Yeah, on the spike.
Out in front of the house.
Yeah, put it on the spike.
So is this the craziest thing you've ever heard, Joe, that my wife doesn't want to separate raccoons from their family?
It is definitely one of the top 10. I can tell you that.
Oh wow! You just made his VH1 show. It's Joe Bird's top 10 Zadius pest control stories.
So I'll be in contact with you, Joe, but I may have to go with the old like some motion sensor lights and sprinklers.
No offense to Joe or your wife, but why don't you go with little Danny Denny's in the middle of the night pest control?
What are you going to say?
Never knew it happened. happen. It's like they were never there.
I think it would be hard to kill a raccoon, like by hand, maybe with a gun, but
I could kill.
Now you're discharging a weapon in the middle of the customary.
If it's
just like a cat.
I'm small, but I can fight up to 3 at one time.
But they'll run from you. They're hard to catch. Joe, so now I'm stuck with motion sensor lights and sprinklers. Is that going to work,
God,
Joe?
Look, he's having a rave.
No.
Why don't you get foam and disco ball? Because that's all I'm hearing. You're not getting anything that's going to deter them.
Well, I got BDMs that send me email. They're like, they own like little like garbage farms on their backyard. So that's what they are.
You don't have to belittle them.
No, I'm saying if you got chickens and some goats,
chickens. Yeah,
and then you got like an acre, but you're not really in the woods.
If you write me and say I have chickens, I go. Like,
you have a tiny garbage farm.
You have poop under your nails.
Anyway, and they're koi fish. I got a bunch of emails, and they're like motion sensor lights and sprinklers, and they're like, it works. And I'm like, I just doubt it, Joe.
Yeah, but everything's wet all the time.
Yeah, so blinking lights are wet. So
it depends on how comfortable they are, really. I mean, because you can have some animals that have been around a long time, like for example, at that hunt camp. He doesn't do anything with the raccoons. Their population kind of gets a little big there, and those things will just walk right up to you and pick up food off the ground that you drop.
Yeah, they'll steal your Wawa stuff.
Don't take my shorty.
These,
or was that a junior? I think it was a junior.
These raccoons live right next to the roller rink. I think they're like they have
skates. These rollers, they're fast.
No, I was just saying they've been around people. They're not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Like
they know all about our culture. They know how we reproduce.
I sprayed a bunch of peppermint oil and they duded right on top of it. It did not stop them from nothing. All right, Joe.
We'll stop wasting your time.
Sorry. Throw out your website again.
Just please don't refer to him as Burn.
It's burnpest.com.
No, there was a long pause there. You were like, "Thank you, Joe." Burn.
That was a good throw.
Hey guys, real quick, just to let everybody know, it is termite swarming season right now. Just while I got everybody. So if anybody needs termite prevention or termite work, definitely just give us a call. We just finished up Bart Merrick's house.
Oh, awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, Bart is super jazzed about his new place, by the way.
It's nice, man.
I talked to him all the time.
Tom just said super jazzed. and mark that for the awards. Butler, mark it for the awards. This guy just said super jazzed, and I saw him wiggle his finger at me.
God damn it.
Also, we got to witness Joe get so frustrated with what we were talking about. He's like, hold on, before you get me off the line, let me give a real plug like a real professional, you idiots.
I pay you guys.
You fools.
Burnpest.com, BYRNE. Thanks, Joe.
Yep, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. Mark that for the awards. Bart Merrick is super jazzed. His tampon is just fluttering about it.
I'll get you.
I know you will.
Bye-bye.